Welcome to Literary License Podcast retrospective of Batman, the animated series, and the new adventures of Batman and Robin, where we explore 4 episodes from the classic 90s television show.
Hello, welcome to the Literary License Podcast. And it's Batman Week. We'll be discussing 4 episodes of Batman. And before we get started, let's find out who's with us. We got Sean Stephan with us. Hello, Sean.
Hello, everyone.
We got Joe Randazza with us. Hello, Joe.
Hey, everyone.
And we got Vicky Ray with us. Hello, Vicky.
Hi, guys.
And I'm your host, Keith Shogman. Before we get started, let's find out what we've been up to, starting with you, Sean. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been mainly working my butt off the last couple of weeks. I have barely had a day off, and even on my days off, I go to my work to have dinner. But I went there to have dinner after going to see a screening of The Warriors at my local theater over there.
Did they release it again?
They were doing a one-night screening. They do a local
so
event
cool.
where they're doing select film screenings.
That's so worth it.
I guess which idiot didn't buy his ticket in advance and ended up walking up and hearing it sold out and having to wait for Sean in the restaurant for 2 hours.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I'll
bought my
go to the restaurant ahead of time.
The
Sean
second
bought his
I
ticket
heard
last year when it went on sale.
Yeah, the second I heard it was on sale, I bought my ticket. Not bad friend, nothing.
He actually offered to leave the screening and go to dinner, and I'm like, bro, you've been waiting a year for this.
Good friend. Exactly.
Sean's still a bad friend. I'm a good friend for being like, no, you go to the
No. So here's the thing. I have never seen this movie on the big screen before. It is one of my favorite films.
It is so much fun, isn't it, though?
It is so cool to see it on that big screen and just hear the music blaring through the theater and it was a packed house, a fully sold out house. So it was very cool.
There's a lot of old timers still love it too.
No, it's old timers. There was somebody who saw it.
Did a bunch of youngsters in there?
Well, that's the thing, because of the video game and because of the,
I didn't know there was a
crossover.
video game.
Rockstar, the people behind Grand Theft Auto, I want to say in 2004, maybe 2005, 6-ish, they put out a Rockstar Grand Theft Auto-esque Warriors prequel sequel kind of game.
Oh, that's right. I'm pretty sure I remember my boys want it.
It starts it's on PlayStation 2. It starts at the meeting, and then it goes back in time and it tells the origin of how each member joined the gang until eventually it works its way back up to the movie, and then you have to play through the movie. So it's kind of this very long extended experience where you're gaining all this knowledge of how to break out of handcuffs and how to vandalize the neighborhood and all that stuff and be a real warrior and tag and win a spray painting competition. So you're earning your rep to the point that by the time you bop your way all the way back to Coney, you really are the baddest gang in the land. And it's pretty cool. If you can track it down, I know it's on PlayStation 2. The emulators are out there for the emulator community if you want to play that game.
I kind of remember it had kind of that Saints Row kind of feel to it before Saints Row.
A little bit, yeah, because I mean, it didn't have all the wackiness, obviously, but definitely in terms of like vandalization and spray painting and just like all that stuff, yeah, definitely.
Can't beat somebody to death with a purple dildo in the Warriors video game.
You do not beat somebody to death with a purple dildo in the Warriors. No. Other than that, yeah, no, I haven't really been doing much. I started watching Legion because I remember starting watching it when it first aired. And I didn't finish it. I mean, I was doing other things.
That was the devil angel.
No, it's because I've been fascinated by Dan Stevens this year. Every performance I see him in is amazing, and I'm like, you know what? I'll give this show Legion a try. The best way I can describe it is it takes place in the world where mutants exist, so it's in like the X-Men universe, but there are no X-Men. But they're not the famous names and
The theory.
Like that. It was a series. It's on Hulu, Disney Plus. So if you have the Hulu part, you can watch it on Disney Plus, or you can just watch it on Hulu alone. It's 3 seasons. It stars Dan Stevens. I'm only like a couple episodes into it, but
What's it called again? On
Legion.
Okay.
The best way I can describe it is: what if you're a schizophrenic, and what if one day someone comes to you and tells you the voices in your head are real? And not only the voices in your head are real, you can talk to them with your mind, and you can do a lot more. And the whole show where I'm at right now, it seems like they're going into this guy's memories, and it's very weirdly cut in a way so that like it feels like it's glitching out, almost like there's video edits, and then you realize it's maybe him blocking things in his own memory. It's jumping back and forth from his own memory to real time to the point that I don't know what the fuck is going on at any given moment, but I am fascinated by it. And he's a great actor, and it's a really fascinating, trippy way to deal with a lead character who's dealing with schizophrenia and delusions of grandeur, and may not be a very, very, very powerful mutant who can move and
He lost a lot of weight for that.
Yeah, he's very, very skinny in it. I want to say south of 130, maybe around like 130, 140.
Who's
A guy
that?
his size. Dan Stevens.
He looks very busy. I mean, Dan Stevens is like Kate Blanchett. It's like another reason why I say that is because
Yeah, I can see that.
Something he's entertained. He just changes his look, and it takes you. Sometimes it takes you a while to realize it's him.
Yeah.
Legion's like that. You're kind of watching it, going, "Oh, that's Dan Stevens," but it takes you like half the
Yeah, you
You're in the Godzilla versus Kong that just came out, Vicky.
Yeah, he's that. He's
The
the
guy.
guy. Yeah,
He's the guy that pulls Kong's tooth out in the new King Kong Godzilla.
Oh my
movie.
God.
Yeah, he's the
that's
kaiju
not-
doctor.
that-
Yeah.
Have you seen Abigail
I
yet?
didn't know that was him.
And if you've
Have you
seen
seen
Abigail,
Abigail yet?
he's one of the
No.
5 people guarding Abigail. He's the dirty cop.
Oh no, I haven't seen it. I'm glad you guys brought that up. I need to watch that.
He's in The Guest. He's the
he's
the
yeah, he's
really
the
good
guest.
looking guy.
Okay.
Real good looking killer.
You're right. He is kind of like Kate Blanchett.
It's weird watching this alongside the guest and realizing that's the same guy. Damn.
I guess
But-
he is like very diverse.
He is. No, he's an incredible actor. That's the thing. I'm fascinated by
Downtown
him.
Abbey. That's
Yeah.
where he comes from.
Oh
Downtown
no
Abbey.
shit. I didn't know that.
And he looks totally different in that than he does in everything else as well.
I found a Blu-ray of The Guest at Dollar Tree a couple of months ago. I was like, oh fuck yeah, this movie's great.
It's a great. It's like
He had
somebody,
$1.25 for it.
somebody said it's the best Halloween movie that doesn't have Michael Myers. Somebody.
Which
one of
one's
my-
that?
The Guest.
The Guest.
It does have a Carpenter feel.
That's a
to it. It
disturbing
really-
movie. That's just a very disturbing.
Well,
I'm a-
yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of that director. So
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, well,
Yeah,
I just,
am too.
well, the fact of the matter is, like, no, well, I guess I would be that stupid and let that person in. If you thought it was your son's, yeah.
well, I mean, what I like about it is that it builds and builds and builds, and more layers come into it, and then you get like the ending of it. But it just,
Covered that one, didn't we?
yeah, we did. But
Yeah.
I like it because it just keeps you off guard.
That's the thing. And
Yeah.
it has the score for that, the soundtrack, with the music
Well,
selections. in it
because
are
he
just
seems like a
so
good guy, but he's
Great
not.
synthwave.
I don't know. You know, is he a good guy? Is he not a good guy? You know, he's kind of weird.
And Michael Monroe's gone on to be quite a bit of a horror star.
Apparently, Longlegs is starting to screen.
Yeah.
At certain places, it's getting rave
Coming to
reviews.
Nicolas Cage movie, which looks fucking fun.
And I want to mention one thing about
Whatever.
Longlegs. They're marketing that movie the right way.
I
They're
haven't
doing
seen it
this-
marketed at all. I haven't heard about it till you just said it.
You probably have, and you don't realize it. If you've been to a theater and seen a horror movie in the last 6 months, they've been doing this slow drip teaser trailer with Michael Monroe overlooking things, almost like a Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs vibe. And then and then at the end of it, there's a reveal that Nick Cage is in the movie. You don't actually see him, but you hear this scream of Nick Cage's horrifying monster scream, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't know what the fuck's going
Now I'm
on.
mildly intrigued.
It has like a Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs vibe, and I'm guessing that he is a serial killer or something like that. The guy from
That's
Dead
what I
Meat-
gathered too.
The guy from Dead Meat
What's
said
it called? Long leg?
Longlegs. The guy from Dead Meat.
Long legs is one word.
Yeah, one word. He said that he would definitely include this character as like one of the more iconic villains that has come out in the last couple of decades.
This does look.
It's a fascinating character.
Yeah,
And
like
it's directed
Sean
by Anthony Perkins' son.
Yeah, Oz Perkins. Yes, Oz Perkins film.
and like Sean said, the marketing is just a slow drip. It's giving you a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. A little
Oh,
bit
Kieran
here.
Shipka's in this too. I haven't seen her in eons, it seems.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's one of the movies I'm looking forward to. I missed Arcadian in the theater. That was the other Nicolas Cage horror movie that came out. I missed that one, but that's got to be on streaming soon.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it, it's not a Blumhouse film. Yay!
The Blue House. Yay. I don't hate their films.
They're
But
hit or miss, like
sometimes-
anything else.
I think they're very more miss than hit. I think
When they hit well, but they miss a lot more
Yeah,
than
yeah. I don't hate them.
they have a problem with their last 15 minutes film. The last 15 minutes of all their films, there's a problem. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know if
their
they take it to a
forte. It's their jam. It's their signature.
I don't know. I don't know if
I was
they
gonna
take,
say
I
they
don't
have
know
a
if they
problem
take it
with the
to
last
a
15
test
films.
audience and they're reading it by a test audience or
Something
something.
was fun.
This kind of weird 15-minute tack on that doesn't quite, the Conjuring films or Sinister. The first one's good, second one, but every time I see a Blumhouse film, whether even if it's Adult Swim or whatever that one was.
Yeah.
It's like the last 15 minutes, you kind of want to go, okay, this is interesting. The last 15 minutes, then they get, it's the explanation. This is the explanation. And you're going, what?
Is it a cursed pool? Please tell me it's a cursed pool. I want
No,
a
don't
cursed
tell
pool.
me anything. I don't need to see it. Tell Sean later.
I don't care. I don't care at all.
By the end of it, you're not
pool,
caring,
the
right?
pool
So,
that
I mean,
eats.
give it a watch, but you're going to go,
Sinister 2, I joked that it's the greatest Children of the Corn sequel I've ever seen.
What's it called?
Sinister 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
you think it's like, well, yeah.
I mean, they have somebody fucking up on a corn stalk, like crucified on a corn stalk. Like, come on.
Is there a
It
Malachi?
was a friendly nod.
Malachi.
There's got to be a Malachi.
I mean, I always thought it was, I
I'm
thought it was
planning
quite
to finish
interesting
up
that the
series this
bully,
year.
from A Christmas Story moved to Nebraska.
He did too. That's not a lie.
I'm actually planning to finish the Children of the Corn movies this year. I'm going to watch the last bunch that I haven't seen. The last one I saw was
Did
6.
they have any continuity? All of them?
Not much.
Is there any reason why you're torturing yourself?
Yeah.
I ask him this every single day. You don't
Lord.
have to watch.
One night he came out while I was watching the sequel to the remake of Pulse. And I'm watching this thing, which is clearly all shot on green screen and nothing matches. He's like, why do you own this on DVD? I'm like, because I saw it at Dollar Tree and I was like, okay, it's $1.
That doesn't mean you have to buy it.
It wasn't even worth the
It's
dollar I
$1,
spent on it.
yeah.
It wasn't
I
even
can
worth the dollar I spent on it. And I've come to the conclusion that Joel Swanson is the worst filmmaker that I've ever seen. Like, just period.
Does that mean we're not going to hate on Rebel Moon anymore?
No, Zack Snyder's the worst.
He hates Zack
big
Snyder for a
budget
different
filmmaker
reason.
I've ever seen. But Joel Swanson, just his movies are just every movie I've seen of his is garbage, and he directs one of the upcoming Children of the Corn movies that I'm going to be watching. So
Isaac's Return or Children of the Corn 666.
I already watched that one. He does children. My phone's over here, so I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's the one movie that's released by Dimension Extreme. The one Children of the Corn movie by Dimension Extreme. That's the one he directed. I don't remember what the name of it is, but he directed 2 of the Hellraiser sequels that are the 2 worst sequels, and the 2 of the Prophecy sequels that are the worst Prophecy sequels in that franchise. So I've
Children of the Corn. I mean, obviously Dimension owns the Children of the Corn franchise, and they own the Hellraiser franchise, and then we know that to keep the franchise, sometimes they would take some other script and then turn it into Hellraiser. Do you think that's what they were doing with Children of the Corn? Now it seems like Paramount has it now, so because now they just come out with their Children of the Corn, which when you get to that, that would be special for you. But yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. So they probably did.
I mean, the interesting thing is the remake of Children of the Corn is quite interesting because unlike the original Children of the Corn film, the Children of the Corn remake is basically based on the Stephen King book.
So, are you talking about the 2009 version that was like a made-for-TV movie?
Yeah, that one.
I'm getting to that one. I'm doing them all in order, so I'm getting to that one soon. I just watched 6. I think there's one more than the remake, and then like 3 new ones.
Okay,
I'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they came out with one last year, which
yeah, that one. Well, that one was actually finished in 2020. It just sat on the shelf because no one would distribute it. Which right there, that should tell you immediately how bad a movie is when the distributor's like, it's finished, but we're still not going to touch it. Eventually, Shudder bought it and released it, and it's a Shudder exclusive now.
Mm. I mean,
I haven't watched it.
the only problem I
It's
had with,
horrible, but yeah.
I mean, when I saw the original Children of the Corn at the movie theaters when it came out, aging myself, and I was very disappointed with it. And the reason why I was disappointed with it because I was such a huge Stephen King fan, and it's the happy ending situation that was kind of there, and the kids. I kind of wanted the kids to die, and they didn't. So,
Well, the thing is, it's hard to justify killing kids in a movie.
Yeah, but I think
it's hard to get away with it and not get an NC-17 rating too. That's the other thing.
Yeah. I mean,
the children did it. We watched that movie, The Children. Well, both versions of The Children that we watched.
Maximum Overdrive. That little kid getting crushed by the
gets run over with the steamroller. Yeah.
If you look closely, you can still see the graphic head explosion a little bit as whatever they use for it just gets.
Stephen King bragged that he sent that to George Romero, and George Romero said it was the most disgusting thing he's ever seen.
God bless the drugs that man was on, so that we have that wonderful film.
Oh, dude! I saw that Blu-ray at Best Buy a couple years ago.
That's why. That is why.
When I saw the Blu-ray at Best Buy a couple years ago, I was like, "Yoink! I am taking this home today."
I'll never forget seeing the trailer for that movie with adult eyes for the first time, and just seeing Stephen King, wide-eyed, completely. Hey, I'm gonna scare the shit out of all of you. Oh
what movie was that?
Talking to the camera.
Just talking right through your fucking soul. God,
but first time I saw it was on Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs hosting it, and he's just talking about how, the Goblin truck and all that stuff, and he's going into the history of how this movie was made, and I think even he threw in a couple jokes about a lot of cocaine behind the scenes on this one.
Well,
yeah,
Stephen King probably doesn't even remember directing it. Because it's the same period he doesn't remember writing any of his books. So
I find that hard to believe he wrote all of those books and not remember any.
Well,
they
to
were
be
so
honest,
good.
When you've written that much,
they all blur together at some point.
Something.
Yeah.
Well, the problem basically is he was writing 3 to 4 books a year, releasing
Well,
them.
back then he was cranking them out.
Well, now he's now going down to 3.
I haven't read any of his.
He's cutting back in his.
Has the man ever had a thought he didn't put on paper?
No,
I
don't think so. No,
you know what?
He's gone to murder mystery now. He no longer writes horror stuff anymore.
I mean,
he does
murder mystery.
Joyland's his. Mr. Mercedes is his. So he's gone to more of that murder mystery, and they're he's kind of become like not James Elroy, who writes his books always have the same characters now. He's kind of gone to that murder, like Alex Cross books.
Well, they always did kind of have the same characters.
Yeah, but I'm saying these are more murder mysteries. So you're kind of now following a cop or a detective, and they're solving murders, and then that book finishes, and then we catch up in the next case, like Alex Cross, James Patterson.
Oh, you mean specifically like okay.
Yeah, he's kind of gone down the James Patterson route now. So
yeah, but I mean, horror and murder mysteries are kind of interlocked anyway, in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, Friday the 13th is a horror movie and a murder mystery.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean Friday the 13th and Halloween are basically just, and then there were none by Agatha Christie.
Well, how do you know who the killer is, though?
Yeah,
but yeah, most slasher movies are, and then there were none.
Yeah, So, but Maximum Overdrive, I saw that at the movie theaters as well. And the problem with Maximum Overdrive, I mean, it's never been a great movie, but what makes it even worse is that because we have Yeardley Smith in it. And unfortunately, now when you see her, all you think is Lisa Simpson.
I know. Every time I hear that
voice. It's her real voice. That's the thing.
Yeah. It's like the Legend of Billie Jean. Every time that comes on, it's like there's Lisa Simpson running around.
If you run into Nancy Cartwright, Harry Shearer, anybody, Dan Castellaneta, they don't sound like their characters from The Simpsons. Yardley Smith just has
She's Lisa Simpson's voice. And it's weird. I remember the first time I realized who she was, City Slickers. She shows up in the beginning of the movie because she had an affair with Daniel Stern, and it's like, I'm having your baby on the produce section. We got pregnant. And that was when I realized, I'm like, oh, so that's Lisa Simpson. And now everything I said.
Cartwright's Instagram. She'll
Uh,
just walk up to people and just start talking like Bart Simpson, and it's so weird.
It's
seeing
very
her
weird.
face
Yes.
doing the Bart Simpson voice and doing the Nelson Muntz voice. It's so strange because it doesn't match her face.
With Tommy Pickles every once in a while.
Yeah.
And
I follow her Instagram, and I follow Tara Strong, and she'll just break into her characters' voices, and it's so strange. But with Nancy Cartwright, it's the weirdest looking one because the Bart Simpson voice does not match her face at all.
Not at all.
So it's so weird to just see her like do it.
I mean, yeah, Julie Smith. Julie Kavanaugh as well. So, I mean, she sounds like Marge as well.
Yeah.
There's not much outside of her wheelhouse. So, what else have you been up to, Sean?
That's pretty much been it. Just been working, went to a movie, started watching Legion, which I highly recommend. Definitely say check it out.
And what about yourself, Joe? What have you been up to?
Testing season again. So this whole week I've been working at a high school running all the AP exams. And because the restaurant that I've worked at, you remember the last couple of years have been complaining that we're so short staffed and that I'm constantly slammed and I don't have time to even breathe half the time. And I kept saying, and I kept telling you guys, I was warning my management of this. I was like, guys, eventually people are going to stop coming in because I can only do so much. And if I have a 17 table section and I'm taking it by myself, no matter how hard I may be working, and no matter, there's always going to be somebody kind of neglected. And there's always going to be people who feel like, oh, okay, well, things are taking too long. Well, it's gotten to that point where the last month has been the worst month financially I've ever had there. And it got to the point where, like, instead of doing one test in the morning or doing just the morning test, then going into my restaurant job and starting there, I took 3 weeks off from the restaurant job. I'm working only weekends there for the next couple of weeks. And I'm just doing all the testing in the mornings because, like I told you, and my managers were like, but you always work just the morning test and come in. I'm like, yeah, but you got to understand,
I'm not making any money, dude.
I'm guaranteed 25, 30 an hour running the tests versus coming here and not making $50 some nights for over 6 hours.
That's rough because I
like, you guys, and I'm sorry. And if anybody who works with me is listening to this, you probably heard me say this. Like, I'm going to look, I've been loyal to the place. I'm going to take the money where I can, and it's especially when it's something where I've been warning you guys for years that you need to have more people on because people are going to stop coming in if they come in and it's just me and a manager. Because there were weeks and weeks on end where it was just me and a manager. Sean knows this too because he used to work with me.
I did 13 years.
And we were like, look, if we don't get more people in here, this place is going to collapse. And it's gotten to that point where I'm like, yeah, it's time.
No one just
they're not bringing people in because they're just being cheap.
That was it. Yeah.
We were, well, there's a couple of reasons. In my opinion, the main one though was we were tightly entwined with the community that our store was located in. We were a franchise an independent franchise that had a part of the 8 Chicagoland area stores, maybe even 9. But basically what happened is we got bought out by a corporate entity, Inspire Brands. And Inspire Brands, they own Arby's. I want to say they're owned by Wendy's, or maybe have a piece in Wendy's or something like that. They own Cinnabon and a bunch of other things. They do things a lot differently. So when they came in, all the ties that we had with the communities, the sponsoring of the softball teams, the doing the lunches for the schools, all that stuff, that immediately shut down. A lot of the local deals that we had, that immediately ended. Everything had to be corporately mandated. You had to have the certain thing at every store. And it took away a lot of our goodwill, I think, with the community. And now it's the point where we're just a run-of-the-mill spot where you mainly do a lot of carry-out business.
Well, chains are not part of chains do not build a community.
Yeah. and this one is actually an affront to the community. I mean, you're taking away sponsorships, you're alienating customers that have been going in for over a decade at that point. So it was, I think that was kind of like the major blow.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
and then cutting back because they cut back on staff.
That's the Inspire Brands part. Yeah, I've heard that it's not just us; it's every company that. Yeah.
Well,
It's every location across.
They're gonna end up losing money, and then they're gonna like, "Oh, we bought this," and da 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 da. And but then again, when a corporation, when they lose money on something that they bought, they can always write off the taxes.
They're originally, when they bought it, they said they wanted to keep. I remember specifically, we were told they wanted to keep everything separate because we were joking. Hey, maybe we'll get Cinnabons as dessert. Maybe we'll get the curly fries on the menu. Maybe we'll get these things. No, they want to keep everything separate. And then a couple of days ago, I saw a commercial for Wendy's where they're selling Cinnabons. So it's that the walls are being broken down.
Yeah, I think it's all a big lie when they say they want to keep everything the way it was. I don't know any corporation that's bought anything and said they want to keep it the way it was.
No, God, no.
They tell you that to give you this false sense of security.
Yeah,
and then they slowly go like next thing you know, it's like what was once original. Now you're kind of walking into something you can find in any city across the world.
I worry that in a couple of years, I mean, the reason our location was so strong is because we're in a very good community and they buy a lot for Super Bowl parties. We do very good numbers for the Super Bowl. And I think that kind of kept us afloat for a very long time. And it still does. But I do think that throughout the other 11 months out of the year, you gotta maintain consistency, and they just don't do it. And
I think that, when you no longer have goodwill because you're skimping out on staff of all things.
Yeah.
People are going to stop coming in because as you might come in and I might serve your table, but you might be one of 17 tables I'm serving right now because that's how big my section is on most nights. Yeah. And sometimes it gets full. And no matter how much I'm running around and how much I'm trying to take care of everybody, I'm one person.
Yeah.
And while you might appreciate that tonight, and you might, when I bring you your check, you might go, I'm going to give this guy a little more than 20% because he's working his ass off. Are you going to come back? Because you're not coming back to watch me work.
Yeah.
You're not coming back to watch me perform. You're coming back for me to perform a service that I might not be able to, whether it's through my fault or not. I might not be able to actually give you.
But then I also don't think that we're living in an era where if you're working your ass off, that people actually see it anymore.
Oh, they saw it when they
see it. Do they acknowledge it? Because I'm finding a lot of places they don't really acknowledge stuff that doesn't surround their little planet that they are.
Yeah, I know.
I've had multiple people at tables when it was a thing like that going, wait a minute, are you the only one working? Wait, what? Which tables are yours? See that wall over there? See that wall over there? All of them. That's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, it comes back to bite you when you go, 2 years, like all last summer, all the summer before, it was just me and a manager every day on Sunday for 12 hours.
Same with me on Mondays. Yeah.
And to work it all out, the trouble is with the corporation, they have to do it by committee. And it takes forever for a committee to come up with.
And it's never somebody who had their boots on the ground making these decisions.
Yeah, I know.
They just see the numbers. They just see, Joe's sales that day were $3,000. They don't see that those people were frustrated because it took me 10 minutes to get their refill. They don't see that part because what am I going to do? Every time I walk 2 feet, I got somebody pulling me to the side. So yeah, long story short, way too late for that. I'm doing a lot more of the school stuff this year, and then I'll go back into the restaurant. But for the next couple of weeks, that's mainly going to be my gig, is getting up at 5 a.m, going in there. My last day there was 10 hours, so I'm happy with that. So I'll do that for a couple weeks, work in the restaurant on weekends, and then I don't know.
What's your schedule on Tuesday? Do you want to go see a movie? Are you working today?
I don't know what my schedule is yet, but
we'll go see a movie. I'm off.
Yeah, let's do something Tuesday. Yeah. I haven't seen Sean in a week.
I was gonna say we haven't hung out in a while. Mm-hmm. We live in the same house. We haven't seen each other in like over a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's mainly it for me, and also the the stuff for the last drive-in. Every time I think I'm done, they like the end of the last podcast. Right at the end, I got an email going, "Hey, we need you to cover this movie,"
Oh, that's
and I'm not gonna turn that down, man. I'm going
no
to,
smack you if you didn't.
Austin Jennings, Joe Bob Briggs, and Justin Martell. All of them have expressed how much they love the work I'm doing for them, and I am
Good
just
deal, Joe.
so happy with that. And I told them, because they're like, "Thanks for taking time. I know you're busy right now with all the jobs you're working." And I told Austin, like, this is literally my favorite gig ever. So do not ever think you're imposing on me. I will find downtime to do this, because you're asking me to do something I'd love to do anyway. But that's basically it for me. It's been a lot of work, and yeah, hopefully getting something else going soon to supplement the main part of my income, which is kind of fallen by the wayside lately. Maybe summer will be better, and then I can try to find my way out and find something else. But yeah, that's it.
Everybody's dream. Do what you want. Be happy.
That'd be great.
What about
Yeah.
yourself, Vix? What have you been up to?
Well, we've been trying to get out of the house and do stuff because it's been nice out, but the last few days has been freaking horrible with weird storms and tornadoes and large egg-shaped hail. It's like, fuck this shit, man. Is spring over yet? Golly, man. But other than that, I don't know if Joe ever got that channel I was talking about, but it's all pre-code Hollywood. That's all I've had my nose in is pre-fucking code Hollywood. I'm just amazed and traumatized at the same. I finally found that movie you were telling me about, Sign of the Cross.
I've never seen it. I've only read about it.
Oh my God. Okay. So there's Claudette Colbert getting a milk bath. You could see full-blown nipples, okay, in the water. Did not expect that. But, they're milking donkeys to put milk in her bath. I didn't know you could milk donkeys. I was strangely traumatized by the milking of the donkeys so that they could put donkey milk in Claudette Colbert's bathtub. It was so Caligula.
You can milk any female mammal.
Well,
you know where I thought you were going with that? Was you can milk anything with nipples.
Yeah.
I've got nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Well, it was a donkey. But there was a lot of donkeys, and I find that highly suspect what was going on with them donkeys. Just let me tell. And I wasn't expecting to see her nipples in the bathtub either. So you told me that was probably the movie that pushed Hayes over the. I bet you're right.
Supposedly was.
I bet you're right, because there was so much. They were borderline Roman orgy. I could see where Caligula got its ideas for that movie that they were Penthouse.
And in 1934.
This was extremely. It was an excellent movie. Cecil B. DeMille puts out a good movie. Even that, but it was really well done. I was surprised it was that old. It was 92 fucking years old. Like, holy shit. But there was the other one, Bird of Paradise. There was a couple. There was a whole bunch of James Cagney ones I want to see. And there's the Boris Karloff pre-code ones I'm going to watch. They have all of these movies on this channel. I'm just out in hog heaven.
The Boris Karloff gangster movies from the 30s are really, really good. Especially
that's what they are.
Criminal Code is the one I will.
Criminal Code. That's the one I was going to try to watch tonight.
With Walter Houston and Boris Karloff.
Yeah. But that Sign of the Cross is like, holy shit. I did not even know that movie existed. I love the Code movies. And I would have never enjoyed them or knew about all of that shit. That meant for y'all. So thank you. Anyway, I watched this other weird movie with what's her name from Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
She was in this movie. It's called Damsel. It's really, I don't know why. She must have needed the money. But I watched it. It was about a damsel supposedly in distress. They were sacrificing virgins every 5 minutes that they found one to these dragons and stuff. But it's a long sordid story. I found this one weird movie called Final Cut from 1980. Strange film. A lot of strange shit happened in 1980. I want to say.
I've heard of that one, but I've never seen it. It's a slasher movie, right?
It's weird because it's about this guy who's a cinematographer. He's trying to do a documentary, but they get hooked up with this fucking weird couple. It's really like Andy Warhol-ish kind of group of people. And it's really bizarre movie. It's not really a slasher, but it kind of goes there. It's just bizarre. And I found this one movie. I had no idea this existed. It's 2013. Got Zac Efron. It's got a lot of star power in it, actually. But it's called Parkland. And I mean, everybody hears about how John F. Kennedy got killed here in Dallas and everything else. I never knew what, I mean, I looked this all up because you know me, I'm going to look shit up. I want to know if it's really true. I didn't know when John F. Kennedy, I never really went through my head what the emergency room at Parkland Hospital here in Dallas went through when they brought the president in. And then following a day or two later, they brought Lee Harvey Oswald in too. But I mean, the stuff that happened when that man was shot and how this one doctor played by Zac Efron, who went on to be the big trauma king doctor in this country after the fact, he was just a young 20-year-old resident. And it was just, I didn't know. And it is one of those movies that kind of stays with you. I can't, I mean, a lot of people are into history or into the weird stuff. It's not a conspiracy theory or any of that, but it was a really well done movie about something I never thought about. I didn't think about the hospital, what happened at the hospital when Oswald and Kennedy were brought in. I didn't think about those people at all, but it was a fascinating story.
I never thought it could be a documentary about the killing of JFK. And Jackie, when she's going on the back of the car, everyone thinks that she was escaping, but you know what she was doing?
Grabbing the other Secret Service officer.
No, she wasn't. She was taking his brains and trying to scoop them back into his head. That's what she's doing.
I was watching where they said she was trying to help the Secret Service man get in the car.
No, because she goes.
She's holding on to his brains though when she's in the ER.
She's pushing.
You're right. You might be right because
she's pushing his brains back into his head.
Got his
he got shot. Everything, because if you look, everything comes out of the back of his head. So
you're right because she did have a lot.
So if you watch her put it again, she's on the back of the car. She's going like this. You're on mute.
You're trying to say something, but you're muted.
Yeah, I want to say that they did do that in the JFK movie. They did talk about it in that as well.
Yeah, we watched the JFK movie earlier this year, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure somebody mentioned it in the movie that she was trying. I think it might have been Costner saying that the first lady's trying to scoop his brains back into his head.
I didn't know that. See, when I watched the interview, the Secret Service says she was trying to help him get in the car.
Because she was also trying to do that.
What you guys say, because in the ER, she's walking around with parts of his skull cap and his brains that she never lets go until they take it from her. So that makes sense.
I mean, the thing is that in this documentary that I saw, because I mean, I did see it in JFK, and I've heard it mentioned, but it was actually two of their kids that were talking about their mom or Jackie would be like discussing it with her kids afterwards, and that's what her kids were saying is like, and they're kind of wondering like, was that? I mean, I guess she must have been traumatized.
She was very traumatized. I can't imagine. I mean,
sitting in a car and all of a sudden your husband's head explodes. The guy in front of you is shot. I mean, like.
But on another note, I watched another documentary about how you know how the media used to protect our presidents and people like that back in the day. Far from it now. But he was a sex addict extraordinaire.
Ooh.
He was always having women siphoned into the White House because.
Oh yeah, I mean,
we had fixers back then.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of.
But he had serious problems.
But after he died, the lid kind of came off of all this.
Yeah.
I mean, while he was president, no, but as soon as he died, like within a week or 2 weeks, if you look at some of the newspaper clippings, it's all about all his affairs. So
yeah, well, then he had we had
through the top once he died.
Lyndon Baines Johnson, probably one of the bigger crooks we've ever had. And he probably had everything to do with it too, but you know.
Well, I mean, Kennedy used a lot of people to get where he was, but I'm saying, but he bit the hand that fed him. So
yeah,
they didn't like him because
and John Kennedy had nothing. John Kennedy had nothing to do with civil rights. That happened afterwards.
He'd already been dead 4 years when that got passed.
Yeah.
And that
was Bobby more than. but
No, Bobby again is another thing that he bit the hand that fed him, and they were
he bit the
I know.
mob. That's what
Once
he did.
once Bobby became top cop, he pretty much took down everyone who helped them get in.
Yeah. And the thing about the Kennedys is that the problem is that they're romanticized because he died. If
Both
he
of
did
them.
not die, they probably would end up more like Ted.
Okay, that's fair. That's I can see that being
And speaking of Kennedys and brains, the news came out about Robert F. Kennedy this week, where apparently
What did he do now?
they
No,
found a
worms
dead
ate his
worm in his
brains.
brain.
He did what?
A dead worm was found in Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s
I
brain.
heard that. He
After
said
taking
that
a
he
little
had
bit of it.
Site that ate portions of his brains. Yeah.
She's
See
the
what you
guy
want. I
that
like my presidents to not have their brains eaten by worms.
So if you're wondering what week we were recording this podcast, there you go. Just go look up those articles and you got your answer.
I can't believe he said that. What was wrong with him? Why would he say something like that?
Probably because a brain ate part of his worm ate part of his brain. That's probably why he said that.
In real life, a worm ate part of his brain.
Yes. He was doing it's part of a 2012 deposition. He admitted under oath that a doctor said a worm was found in
I'll
his
have to
brain
look that
and had
shit up.
eaten a portion of it.
Yeah, it's all over the news this week, so you don't.
Yeah.
Well,
you
I
don't
read some
have
of
to
the
look very
story.
far.
I heard some of the story. I've been trying to be good, not watch any of that. Trying to have a good weekend with my grandson.
If there is one thing that we could say about the Kennedys, and it extends to RFK Jr., they have impeccable taste in women, because Cheryl Hines, one of the sexiest women in history.
Oh. We were
So,
trying to figure out if they have some kind of genetic predisposition, because when they all came out against their brother for running for president, I was just wondering, do they got a genetic problem in that? Because they just look weird to me. I don't know.
Well, Kennedy Jr. almost married Sarah Jessica Parker.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, the one that died when he married Caroline.
Yeah, he died in like 99, so he was. I was still a kid when that was going on, so I didn't know he.
Yeah, no, they were engaged to get married, and then they broke up, and then that's when she started going out with Matthew Broderick.
JFK and SJP.
Sex in the City.
John Jr. Other than that, we're waiting patiently to go see, what do you call it?
Kingdom.
The Planet of the Apes, which looked really good.
I gotta catch up on the new series. I have not
finished
seen
watching
Rise
all
or
of
any of
them.
it.
I finished the 2017 one last night. The one with Nova. What is it? Battle for War?
War.
Yeah.
War of the
For
Planet.
Planet of the Apes, when Nova gets her name and everything. So
I've seen all the original movies. I need to see this new
I
series.
fucking love. I thought
I've heard Rise of the
hate 'em.
Planet of the Apes is great.
I love them. The last one I
excellent.
watched, the 2017 one, I thought was the best one yet.
All
The best one.
the new trilogy, and this is the next trilogy coming now. They're excellent because they don't take away from the original, and there's not a reboot
At all.
Because if you watch the first one, Dawn, there are Easter eggs where Charleston Heston's ship goes up.
Yeah, I was going to say there was either a news report or something right around the time about that they were announcing
Right.
the virus breaking out. There was
These
announced
are
that
all
his ship
linked to
got
the
lost.
original series, then.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
But what it's done basically is that instead of the way that it does happen in the movies, what's happened is because there's been a flip. So basically, the Charleston Heston stuff's going, but basically what's happening is that it's a bit, they're using that kind of thing where in the third one, where the planet explodes and they kind of get shoved back in time. They're kind of using that wormhole kind of thing. So basically,
Well, the one with Mark
well,
Wahlberg.
there's two timelines going on, but they are tied together.
Well, the one with Mark Wahlberg always confuses me.
Well, that Tim Burton.
That's outside the
so
series.
let's forget about him.
Yeah,
Just forget about that one. Okay.
That one does not exist in this universe.
Okay, because I was wondering, because it's so confusing. Why has this one been made? And I couldn't figure it out. Okay, now you guys.
Yeah, the reason why that one was made because Tim Burton had a hard on for Michael Jackson, so he turned Helena Bonham Carter into her.
pretty much. That sounds.
Well, basically.
That was during the era where they were giving Tim Burton everything that was horror or sci-fi related, because they were like, "You're the
he really
sci-fi
was moving
horror."
back in the day.
But he also, he brought Christopher Lee out of mothballs. He
Yeah,
used
he did.
Dyson until the end. So he was always the guy that
I just don't really look forward to too many movies, but I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, I'll check it out eventually, but I got to see this whole series first.
They're all
So worth
available.
it.
They're all available on Hulu.
Yeah, but yeah.
Because it's Fox.
I think I'll just start from the beginning and just work my way through all of them. Maybe that's what I'll.
I do that every year. I go through a plan. I have the Planet of Chaps, the animated series and the TV series. I do the whole plot.
I have the box set of the full TV series because I got it really cheap, but I got to get the original 5 movies. I still got to get those.
I love them. I think they're just great. I just love the special. I just love what they've done with the chimpanzees. Like Caesar, he's so human. So freaking human.
There's a good box set for $50 or $60 that has the original and the new 3 one all together and on Blu-ray.
What does the old ones look like on Blu-ray?
Fantastic.
Well,
there's no green screen or anything in them.
Yeah, they're all built sets. Yeah.
So they work fine, and I mean it's interesting. I mean, you got Beneath is still an oddity, which I still love. When they go, they're praying to the atom bomb, and then you get the flashback. Even you get the flashback, and the thing is, if you consider these movies were made on the fly,
right?
They get cheaper as they go on, but they still stand up. They're still a good reflection of our society.
Yeah, so. I think they hold up well.
So. Well, myself, what I've been up to, did my driving license and everything is moving very quickly, so that's good. I've been on my driving lessons, and the woman who's teaching me is from England, so that's quite interesting. So, but she's taking me. I've been to plane, and she's taking me over to Dallas because I like driving with you, so that's been quite nice. So then I take my driving test.
Take you out of the Dallas North Tollway.
Yeah, no problem at all.
No problem, huh? Okay, well then you're in. If you can drive the Dallas North Tollway, you're good.
Well, the thing is, I've been driving for 42 years anyway, so the only thing I needed help with was my right hand turns, because like when I moved to England and I first drove, left hand turns.
I can't drive and say
are too wide. Well, if you drive on the left hand, what happens if you're an American going to England or to Australia? What happens is your left hand turns are too wide.
You got a lot more narrow, yeah.
And then here it's the opposite. So my right hand turns are too wide. So I've done that. My parallel parking, 3-point turn, U-turn, all that sort of stuff I got in the bag. So that's no problem. Because the first one is like, okay, she helped me with my right hand turn. Then after that,
I suck at parallel parking. After all these years, I still suck at it. And I don't care.
I'm okay. I'm actually really good at it now. I was quite surprised because I haven't done it for 8 years, and
I will drive 20 extra feet just so I don't have to fucking
so that's fine. And then I've been watching bits and pieces on streaming, but I'm kind of gone down the Metal Gear Solid wormhole at the moment. So I'm playing games. Metal Gear Solid.
I love Metal Gear.
Because they've remastered them all now, haven't they?
Yeah, the remastered collection just came out. Some Hideo Kojima's masterpiece of his first 3 games in the trilogy.
You guys are PlayStation playing video games.
Yeah. It also has the original games on there, I think, as well, from the MSX.
Yeah, Vicky, you and I can tune out at this point for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of amazes me is that I'm surprised that no one's going to take that property and turn it into a series.
They've been trying. They have been trying. It's been in development hell. The guy who did Kong Skull Island has been attached to the project for, I want to say, at least 4 or 5 years. And Oscar Isaac was attached at some point. I want to say that there's been some photos of concept art of him dressed as Snake and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't know if anything is going to come of it.
It can't be that difficult though, because all they really have to do. I mean, because there's so many cutscenes.
That's the thing.
That thing forever. And I do love it because it does build into this thingy, but they could basically just use the script from the computer game, really.
That's the thing. I mean, they could just use the script. It's weird enough, and a lot of the stuff that they did in both the first two games have come true in real life. There's a lot of things that he kind of was very clairvoyant on, and I think that you could just integrate it very, very soundly. It's just the weirdness combined with the seriousness, and I think that's what's spooking all the studios. No one's actually saying it, but the way it goes from insane out there just kookiness, like you're hiding in a box and just like the legs sticking up and just walking around and all that stuff, to flying demons and clones and all that, and all the different mythical assassins, and
Neon Soldier, DNA.
Yeah.
But the thing is, all you really need is like you could have your villain for each episode, and it's like
what I was thinking. I'm like, as he's going around to different boss that he could go with, and the different. It's just like a rabbit hole that you could really. It could be a lot of fun, but for whatever reason,
I mean, Fallout is doing fantastically well.
Fallout is going to open up. I think Last of Us opened a lot of doors. Fallout is going to open up a lot more. I think it's allowing people and allowing studios to be like, wait, we could just let them be what they do in the game. Just let them do that. Yeah, you could.
I thought Fallout was great, and I don't even play.
And with Mario,
we love
the Super Mario Brothers movie, the new one. We
love that too.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It just let the movies be what the games are. You may not get it, but the fans do, and they pay the money.
Yeah, so that's all that matters, really.
No spoilers on Fallout. I'm only 3 episodes in.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You're only 3. You'll love it.
Fallout, we started watching, but we kind of came to the conclusion you have to be in a certain type of mood to watch that show. We've both been overworked the last couple of weeks, so.
Well, it's another show that it's really hard to watch 2 episodes side by side. It's not because you kind of need to digest one episode before you move to the next episode, which is what I love about it. It's a bit Westworld's like that. I remember when Westworld came out, it's like
Season 3 kind of lost me though, Westworld.
Well, I think they.
But for the first 2, I'm completely with Keith.
Yeah,
I was the same way. Every episode, it was the water cooler talk. One of my favorite bosses that I worked with at my old place with Joe, she and we bonded over our Monday morning. All right, so what do you think happened? What do you think's going on? I'm like, I blew her mind when I'm like, I think the dude for the McPoyle, I think that's Ed Harris. It's just
that's sort of like what was it in The Walking Dead when everybody thought that Glenn was dead? Everybody had a slide rule out trying to figure out if he survived underneath that dumpster of season 6. I mean, that's all anybody cared about was Glenn. Season 5, I think it was, under the dumpster.
By the way, that boss listens to this podcast, so we could say hi to her. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
She does listen to the podcast, though.
I think the problem with season 3 of Westworld is that when you kept everything in the park, it kept everything together. Then once they came out of the park, they're kind of in different locations. So
I expected that.
So it kind of made it. You kind of scattered your. Scattered your characters that you cared about, and I think and I think that's probably where it kind of fell.
I just don't think they did it well. I don't think they handled that part of.
I think once they left the park, and then you got to the part like they're rebuilding the humans into the androids, and I think it kind of got a bit muddled. I think
a little bit. But I loved it. God, I loved the first few seasons.
So, and there are some good stuff in the season 3. I just don't think they knew how to. I think they kind of lost a bit of control about where they're going situation, and I think if they probably cut the season 3 storyline a bit sharper, then take the other ideas that they had and put those into season 4, I probably would have flowed together a bit more. They had too many ideas going on at the same time.
I always said when the show turned from Red Dead Redemption into Watch Dogs, that's when I tuned out. That's kind of and also I think that they made her so super powered. It was one of those things that all she had to do was just plug herself into any USB port and pretty much shut down the world. And you're just like, okay,
like Superman.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm like, when you're that overpowered, you're not as interesting. When she was there's the first 2 seasons
to it.
Well, when she was that damsel in distress who's constantly killed off every episode, every morning. She wakes up.
That was tedious to watch, though. In the beginning,
I was with it though. I love that journey because I'm like, That's the thing. I cared more about her, and then when she got to the point where she's like, no, I'm going to give it all back to everyone who ever tortured me, I was still with her. But then when she got out, then I'm like, it's not as interesting.
I think what they should have done is basically as she's freed Westworld. The thing is, we know that they had other worlds, so it would have been interesting if they gone into one of the other worlds and start freeing.
Like Roman world.
I wanted more
Indian
Samurai
world.
World. We only got one episode of Samurai World.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think
What world?
Samurai World.
I know.
But I think Heroes killed Samurai World in a way, because like when you're watching the first season of Heroes and you're really loving it, and then it gets second, and then we're kind of stuck with the Asian guy in Japan, and you're kind of going. And so by the fourth episode, just like, I can't watch this anymore. It's really hard, and I think it kind of ruined it for every other show after that.
I know. As I'm saying, it got hard to watch. I mean,
Yeah. But other than that, going back to Walton Goggins, I have this when I'm doing work. I normally have television playing in the background, so I'm watching Beverly Hills 90210, so that's playing from beginning and move my way through. Some of the people in that, Walton Goggins popped up in there as like a college kid.
it's amazing who you see on these old shows like Xena Warrior Princess. I started watching that because I'm bored.
Miami Vice is still the
And
best,
it's just
in my opinion.
Miami Vice. I mean, the best friggin' cameos ever.
Back to that.
We got to continue watching it.
box set of Miami Vice movies, and I think work just got in the way.
Yeah,
and we never
we
went
did.
back.
I know.
We didn't get up to. We got up to Ed
Five or
O'Neill.
four.
We had Ed O'Neill episode, which is great.
I
to see.
stopped watching
It was
too. I got
great.
up to season 4 and I just haven't watched anymore, but I still love it. I mean,
I was watching Wonder Woman, and Cloris Leachman is Wonder Woman's mother, and Deborah Winger's her sister. It's like,
yeah, that's so convoluted.
I know. So, but other than that, not a lot really going on here. So, yeah, I've gone down my Tomb Raider wormhole. Now I'm going down my Metal Gear Solid wormhole with all the HD stuff. So,
Cool beans.
Excellent.
and that brings us to Batman the Animated Series. And our first episode is Harley's Holiday. Just starts from Arkham Asylum, Harley Quinn tries to lead a sane, normal life. Sadly, she just can't stay out of trouble, and when a misunderstanding occurs, Harley makes the situation worse by kidnapping notorious socialite Veronica Vreeland. This ignites a screwball chase that only involves Batman and Robin and the police, Army, and Gotham's well-known gangsters as well. So, Joe, what are your thoughts of Harley's Holiday?
This is the best start to these. This is a fantastic episode.
Yes, it is. I was gonna say,
This was so much stupid fun. It's you shouldn't be allowed to have this much fun in half an hour.
no.
No, from the moment she accidentally leaves with the tag, and she just makes every possibly worse decision. The decision making just gets worse and worse as it goes along, and it is just fantastic to watch. It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and it's so perfect. It's such a perfect way to start this out. I
got a kick out of the fact that she's trying to go straight. She didn't really put a whole lot of effort into it.
not
She tried.
first thing that goes wrong.
Yeah.
First thing that goes wrong.
I hate security tags too. That has brought down many a famous people.
But just fuck it over a security tag. That just says, well, I'm just going to go back to being the way I was.
That actually happened with me a couple of years ago. I was at Kohl's and I bought a couple of shirts, and I guess they didn't remove the security tag on one of them. I was walking out the door and it buzzed, and the security guard saw me pay, so he just waved me off. And then when I got home, the tag was still on the shirt, so I had to go back with the receipt and be like, "Hey, I bought this here, and you guys didn't pull the tag off." So yeah, that's actually happened to me. Luckily, I didn't kick a security guard, kidnap a socialite, and do all that goofy shit.
Well, then you got Harvey Bullock in there too. He's already annoyed.
Harvey Bullock, the man with the indestructible car.
Yeah, the way he
Yeah.
swerved into her or something.
There were so many times. We watched this yesterday. There were so many times where I turned to Sean and went, all right, Bullock is dead. Oh, he's not. Okay. The top of his car got ripped off and his head should have been ripped off, but he's fine.
Yeah, Bullock, at least on 4 occasions, should have been crushed or impaled by a beam or exploded.
A kick out of it, how that was ended up to be girl power in the end anyway. Even the socialite didn't really hate her so much. And then she kind of, it's like, well, this is
Stockholm syndrome is a real thing. What can I say?
But Batman seemed kind of dumb, didn't he? I don't know. He just seemed
Batman, it's one of those things where having just encountered her as Bruce and knowing what really happened, he's trying to handle it a little bit more differently, because I think he does look at her as this tragic figure in a way. She is a licensed therapist. She's a doctor, for God's sakes. She was corrupted by a very powerful corrupting agent of chaos in the Joker. And, she could still break free on her own. And this is a first real standalone Harley episode, no Joker.
Yeah, she got her pink dress.
She got her dress. She got and she'll still be able to get out, because for some reason that entire crime spree is not a sign.
What is the time frame we're working on with Gotham City? I mean, these guys usually
get out fast.
50 or 60 year stint.
As soon as you show progress, you can be eligible for parole. And
I guess so, man.
I'd like to think that the licensed therapist can, gain her scruples back a little bit quicker than maybe some of the more hardened criminals. But
I think you also need to remember they're not in jail; they're in a mental institution. So you have to deal with the Mental Health Act.
What I think it is? Once you real promise to never do crime again, I think you get out with a pinky promise to never do crime again.
That's the thing.
Because,
yeah, as long as you can, then you can go through the revolving door. And
even the old 60s Batman series, it'd be like, the Penguin would get arrested in episode 3, Catwoman would be arrested in episode 5, or I actually should be using even numbers. They were all 2-parters back then. But then by episode 10, Penguin's back out on the street. He didn't break out. He just happens to be out.
No, he's released and running for mayor.
He's running for mayor.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I remember do you remember one old episode where the Joker, I want to say, was playing baseball or something?
Yeah.
And he got sprung by one of the bases out of the prison. Am I remembering that?
Yes, correctly? You are correct. He was playing baseball, and he was either a pitcher and he got exploded out from the mound, or he hit a home run, and once he hit first base, he was ejected out of the
Yeah, the spring popped him out.
Have we seen General Breland before, or why is that familiar?
No. I want to say
I've dealt with Veronica before.
The casino episode. I want to say during the casino episode, which was mentioned by Harley when the Joker and her took hold of that casino in the earlier season. I want to say he was in that, but I could be mistaken.
My name sounds familiar.
The gangster. It's Dick Miller.
Yeah, I love
the great Dick Miller from every Roger Corman movie ever. Basically. Walter Beasley.
Another interesting thing about this Harley episode also is that
this is General.
It's also kind of showed like the society kind of thing in a weird way that that when you do get out, no one's going to give you a chance.
Yeah.
You get released from prison, even though you may serve your time or you might be cured or stuff like this.
No one's going to believe you.
Painted with that same brush you did when you went in.
You can never grow. You can never change. You're always going to be branded by this one thing.
There are people that did. Danny Trejo is a good example, but for the most part, yeah. If you're not one of the lucky few, yeah, you're kind of fucked.
He did by playing criminals and killers for many years. He finally gained legitimacy. It is kind of.
Well, I was watching this documentary in England, and basically it was about this women's prison, and
I watched a lot of those too.
Well, it's not documentary.
What's quite interesting is the simple fact that is like they're talking about they recommit to their crimes, and they're not murdering stuff like this, but recommitting crimes that they would do. And the main reason why is because when they got out, They couldn't find work. They couldn't find a roof over their head. They couldn't eat. But when they went to prison, at least they got food and they had a roof over their head and they had structure, which they couldn't find in the real world. And they had no friends. The only friends they had were other prisoners in the jail. So they would reoffend and go back in because there was nothing there for them to help rehabilitate. Once they rehabilitated, what can they do in the real world? And if you look at, whenever you fill out an application, the first thing they ask is, have you been?
Yeah.
And the question is, if you're honest and hit yes, will you get that interview? Probably not. But if you hit no and they found out later that you lied, you lost your job. So it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword situation. So it's an animated series, but it's quite interesting because I also think it just kind of hold a candle to what life, to real life situation as well. So that's what I quite liked about it as well. They kind of worked on both ways. You kind of got the screwball comedy aspect of it going, but then here she is trying to make a go of being good, and then she's like, "Screw it, I might as well be who I was before I went in. Before I went in because life was easier."
Yeah, I mean I mean we know a couple people that we worked with a couple people who were convicted felons, and they were lucky in a way that they had a good structure and good people that could help them navigate through what's going on. Because if you don't have that, when you get out, you're fucked. Shawshank Redemption. The God, what was the old prisoner's
Brooks.
name? Yeah, Brooks.
Yeah.
When he gets out, he can't make it work. He's been in prison. He's been inside for too long. What is he going to do? And if by this point he's an old man, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
So, it's the social messaging is there for this episode too, even if she is walking down the street with two pet hyenas.
Yeah. Rabid hyenas. Rabid hyenas.
But this brings us to our next episode, which is Lockup. Several Arkham Asylum inmates lodge complaints against Lyle Bolton, the asylum's sadistic new chief of security. When Bolton is fired, he vows revenge and socialites true lunatics, the officials whose policies have turned Gotham City into a haven for crime. Taking on the new identity of Master Jailer Lockup, Bolton kidnaps several prominent Gothamites and locks them away on an abandoned prison ship. It's up to Batman and Robin to confront Lockup and battle him for the lives of those he's wrongly imprisoned. So, Vix, what are your thoughts about Lockup?
Doesn't anybody vet their employees in this show? I mean, seriously. The guy was a total douche nozzle. I mean, he was treating all of his clients
unstable
like
douche nozzle, nonetheless. Jesus.
Well, I mean, think about it. The Scarecrow, I mean, he's terrified to go back in because of this guy. I mean, he's the one that's supposed to instill terror in the hearts of the Gothamites,
Yeah.
And all of these guys are scared to say anything. Harley Quinn doesn't want to say anything. You did notice how Joker is not in there anywhere because he probably would have said something. I don't think he was in there, was he? I don't remember seeing him.
He wasn't in the trial scenes, no.
No, he was. I mean, we all assume he's in the deepest, darkest dungeon.
But this guy was such a shithead, and I mean, and I kind of thought it was kind of and sweet that Batman actually cares for all of his people that he locks up on a daily basis. So he has a soft spot even for the villains, So he doesn't want no one to mistreat the villains either.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a soft spot for them or if it's just his idea that this is his idea of justice. And mistreating people in any way, no matter who they are, I think he feels is unjust.
Yeah, I read into it like
this is a nod to every prison movie you've ever seen. Anyway, there's always that one
dickhead. Yeah.
Going back to Shawshank.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's Clancy Brown,
The Green Mile.
Yeah. There's always the dickhead guard.
Harry Warnock in any prison movie.
Yeah.
But it seemed kind of unrealistic because you have like the biggest masterminds and then all criminals, but they're all quaking in their boots to this big lummox.
Well, he's
And
this giant roided up guard that has.
Pointed up.
That's the thing. He's huge, and the personality was highly inspired apparently by Travis Bickle. So picture Travis Bickle as a prison guard.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And just with on the gas, completely roided to the gills, no mental, just like, no, I am dealing my brand of justice. You take him down, you put him in, I'll lock him up. Because he chooses the name lockup.
If you listen to some of his
gusto about it.
Yeah.
Some of his rants sound like Travis Bickle's rants, or his scribblings in his manifesto and Taxi Driver. So that makes perfect sense, actually. It does sound like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, there is people like that in just about every job. I know a lot of prison guards, and there's always one. Like y'all said, there's always one that's a dick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happened.
Well, it's kind of a power play, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a certain type of personality that gets into that line of business specifically because he wants to bully people.
But the thing is that I found these guys are hardcore criminals. Why are they afraid of him?
Because the thing is, because if you're a hardcore criminal situation is that if you're a prison guard, they can separate you.
Yeah.
From everyone else. And and what goes on behind,
And what were their complaints in the trial or in the hearing? He was electrifying their cell bars. He was, denying them food. He was torturing.
Why did they do nasty shit back to him though? These guys
but look at the repercussions that would happen.
Yeah.
Who's gonna believe the prisoners? I mean, but on a if you look at it from a different angle here, I mean, to work in a prison service, my nephew went to do it and he couldn't do it. He was too kind-hearted. He was too soft. You have to be a certain personality to be able to deal with this kind of stuff. Even when he's working in psychiatric care situation, you have to be in a different kind of situation.
Oh yeah, for that part of it.
To be able to cope with that. Because, and then the other thing is you become desensitized to it all as well.
When the show was airing, did either of you watch Oz?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that in eons. Gosh, I forgot about that.
But if you look back at, the social messaging there was we need to build a better form of prison so that we could actually rehabilitate people so that we can give them something to look forward to when they get out. And you did have that one guard in one of the first season episodes that said, "What do you think? These people are going to go work for fucking Microsoft?" And you have the guards who are assholes. But
what was that show I was watching? Wentworth. I could not stop watching Wentworth when Wentworth came on. Oh my God, it's Australian.
It's a remake. It's a remake of Prisoner on Cell Block 8.
Yeah, but it was Australian.
They updated it. Wow.
It was the first 5 seasons are fucking awesome. I don't know about the rest of it after they killed off my favorite people.
Well, see, I think the problem is when you get these kind of situations anyway, is that you do have the people who want to be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
And you got the people who rehabilitation is probably, some prisoners can do quite well in prison. I mean, they're a very small, they're a very small percentage. I mean, but the problem is this small percentage is a bit like, remember when you go into school and you get like these, there's certain treats that they would give you in school, and then you get the one bad kid that would do something bad, and it's like everyone's privileges are taken away.
Yeah.
Situation.
Yeah.
It's like they'll give you, if they give you an inch, and then unfortunately one person takes a mile with that inch, it's like then that inch is gone for everyone. So
Don't enough.
So and that's it's a bit like that it's been like that in society. It's like, if one kid watches something, Child's Play 3, and he goes off and kills another kid, it's like, well, we can't have people watching Child's Play 3. We need to censor this for everyone.
That is a very specific real life example because it's exactly what happened.
Yes.
Yeah. And the thing is, because of one kid, so it's kind of like we need to make sure that no one sees it now situation. I mean, of course, time moves forward and they realize how stupid that is. But it's like that with everything. I'm a bit like, you know, just watching like a lot of collision videos to get my tests and stuff like this. And it's like, and you're kind of watching the thing, we no longer can do this because of this. And it's like, because of one stupid person. It's kind of like changed the world, changed the law for everyone.
Well, it really. Well, I mean, my when I was a kid, I was given a screwdriver set by my dad. It was like a bunch of mini screwdrivers, and printed on the thing. And I got it on my Facebook somewhere, and I could repost it later if you guys want to see it. But it says but it's printed on the label. Do not insert screwdrivers into the tip of your penis.
But does not.
It does, and I'm like, so somebody did this.
Somebody did it. Somebody did it.
There is a sexual act that where people will take rods and put them into their penis.
But I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if putting a sharp ended thing in there would be good, because I think they're probably quite rounded. What they
Doesn't look like it doesn't. That doesn't sound like a happy experience at all.
Yet, but somebody did it because it's printed on the mini screwdriver set. So
Yeah.
every time you see anything that says "Do not do this with this item," somebody did it.
Oh, it's a bit like coffee. The McDonald's coffee cups. So basically, they had to bring that coffee is hot.
Burn, yeah.
Because people themselves because they were
Actually did burn herself badly.
Yeah, that's why. That's
how.
people
Well,
leave
I mean,
that
she
part
burned
out of
herself
the
because she
law.
was stupid. She wasn't paying attention. That's why she burned herself.
But their coffee was way fucking hot.
I was actually online behind somebody at Starbucks a week or two ago who was crying and having her hand iced down because the Starbucks cups, they are you can lift it up by the lid and it's not going to come off.
Yeah,
because they are like. But yeah, somehow
I've lost
pulled
a
it
couple
on,
lids.
built it on her arm, and she was talking to the cashier about a lawsuit, and I'm like, well, okay, you really got to work hard to get that lid off that Starbucks cup. That doesn't just come off. So, but it still happens.
Yeah, yard darts. You shouldn't be throwing these.
I loved yard darts. I don't know why we can't play with yard darts. That is so stupid.
I mean, look at like every time you buy a Lego set, if you read the warning behind it, it's like, please do not stick up your nose.
or on hot sauce bottles where it says, do not rub hot sauce in your eyes. Why would you do that?
Why not? Makes sense.
I know, sort of like battery acid. I mean, what happened to our society?
Well,
I mean, not what happened. It's been going on for ages.
I bought Tide. I bought Tide for the laundry, and that's the pods in it, and it sit there and said not to be digested.
Yeah. And then there was the rubbers. They were doing the rubber challenge where they're putting the rubber in their nose. We are not a species meant to survive. We just aren't.
We're a species that doesn't take responsibility for stupid actions and think it's always someone else's fault. Well, I mean, it's a bit like when I worked in A&E, when I was doing my training, the things that people came in that were stuck up the rectum was just like a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
My
friends tell me all about
Ricky Gervais did a bit about that because somebody went into a hospital with a broken ketchup bottle in their rectum. It's like, why would you? No, why? Why would you use a glass bottle for that?
I just can't imagine having to go get medical treatment for something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I know that when they come to A&E, they they're on their stomach and then we normally wait until the last minute to deal with them because there's other more important things than stupidity to deal with first.
Yeah.
But unless your life is in danger from it, yeah, you're going to be sitting there waiting and being embarrassed.
But it's a bit like, but I think that's what people do. And it's a bit like, sometimes when people can do like really weird things with their body. Obviously, at some point they sat home really bored and said, "What can I do?" And they realize they can do this.
I'm gonna shove this ketchup bottle up my ass.
Well, even if it's like doing double jointed with their joint or whatever like that, or turning their eyelids, the eyelids inside out or whatever they.
I hate that when people did that. I hate it.
But I'm saying, obviously, they sit at home and it's like, I'm bored. Let's see what I can do. And they obviously realize they have a special gift to do whatever.
I just can't believe we have to put warnings like that on things. I know. It's common sense. We are not a species of common sense.
there's that meme that's like over 10 years old now, where it just says, "I think as a society, we should just remove all the warning labels and let nature take its course."
Oh yeah, Darwinism, the survival of the fittest. Yeah.
Our next episode is Make 'em Laugh. Gotham City is plagued by a rash of crazy crimes, all committed by bizarre villains. Batman and Robin investigating and discovering the criminals are actually famous comedians brainwashed by the Joker. It seems the comedians had the Joker tossed out of the annual Gotham comedy competition the year before, and the jealous clown has sworn to destroy the reputation in return. So, Sean, what are your thoughts of Make 'em Laugh?
I could sum up this episode in 2 words: Condiment King. That is it. Enough said. The Condiment King, one of the most weird, strange, obscure characters in Batman lore, as well as Batmite, for that matter, also made an appearance in this.
Definitely
And,
weird cat.
Sean is relishing the opportunity to talk about this one.
I'm just like, oh, the puns. Oh, I love it. Just the shitty puns. One shitty pun after another. The ketchup mustard guns. The hot sauce is just squirting into somebody's mouth to make them get. It's so stupid.
So classic.
I love it. And it took me back to my childhood, though. It was a lot of
People
fun.
used to dump sriracha sauce in your mouth.
No, not me. I mean, watching the Condiment King and seeing that
I'm
it's
messing with you.
a
I'm looking
dark
at a
part
bottle
of my
of
brain.
Tabasco right now, and
Yes.
Hey,
Yes,
there
it
is a sriracha. Hey, there's going to be a serious hot sauce. What do you call it? It's shortage because the sriracha people said that the peppers were not to their liking. So the actual sriracha sauce is going to start going for high dollar on eBay. I'm just saying.
They've been
More
selling,
play.
that's been going on for a while. They've been selling generic sriracha in stores for almost
Yeah,
a
well,
year and
now
a half.
I found out this morning there's an actual problem with the sriracha peppers. That's why we're not seeing sriracha sauce. For those of you who care.
it's something about the climate affecting the way the peppers are growing. They're not growing correctly.
And they're not red, they're green. You can't make green sriracha sauce. That has to be red.
Red dot number 5.
Big world problems. You know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
this episode. This I was gonna say this episode. I mean, it's a fun episode where you have the Joker kind of hijacking the Mad Hatter's technology, his brainwashing tech.
And he stole the trophy too.
Yeah, and because, excuse me,
You're muted.
he did this thing where thank you. He did this thing where he entered into a comedy competition, a make him laugh comedy competition. I'm guessing before he was the Joker. This is kind of, and it did not go well. He was too much of a dick. He pushed people out of the way, and he immediately got the gong, so to speak, from the judges.
Show.
They got the hook, and he was dragged off.
He also wasn't officially in the competition.
Yeah,
No,
that's the thing. I forget his character's name was
What the year prior?
Smiling Shecky Rimshot.
Yeah,
And-
which I'm very immature when I heard that one. Just like, come on.
He made the crowd laugh with a couple of jokes, but because of what happened, they took him immediately out of there and dragged him off. And appeared looking at a photo of him in that state and altering multiple characteristics on his face, including things that wouldn't naturally be altered. He realized, oh my God, you're the Joker. Your eyes and nose are completely different.
I would have never known
Joker.
that was the Joker, though.
That's because it doesn't make sense.
Until he laughed at the end of his bit as he's being dragged off stage, there's nothing really to let you know that it's the Joker. It's a completely different voice. It's a completely different act. He's talking in a different way. He's kind of hunched over like he's a common
It
street
did look
hood.
nothing like Joker.
He kind of looked like a street hood in this world combined.
Yeah,
with-
normal
with-
street
if he,
hood. Yeah,
if he
generic
was a
street hood.
who moonlighted as a stand-up. That's kind of the vibe he gave off. And then at the end, that laugh is undeniable, and you
Right.
realize that's who it is. But he has Condiment King,
Bar as well.
Roseanne Barr, who, in looking over the notes, I don't know why the DC Animated Universe wiki says, "Oh, she's modeled after Lisa Lampanelli." I don't think Lisa Lampanelli was around and that prominent of a comedian back in 1994.
No, because Roseanne was
95.
big at this time in the
This
night.
is definitely Roseanne. I thought
She was
maybe Rosie
prominent,
O'Donnell.
but not as,
But yeah.
Roseanne was definitely the more prominent comedian at that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even the way she talked.
Yeah, that was the thing. I thought at first we both thought Roseanne. I thought possibly Rosie O'Donnell a little bit too, but
No, I didn't think Rosie O'Donnell.
'Cause I always thought Rosie O'Donnell was more. Well, yeah, she was around. What League of Their Own was?
League of Their Own. That's the reason why. Yeah, that's
Yeah, at this point, Rosie was around. Did she have a talk show? What year was
Yeah.
that?
talk show. Talk
Back in
show came in later.
2000s. Yeah,
She was
yeah.
on The View for a while. That's all I know.
That was
It
much
was
later.
like late 80s or late 90s. I want to say like
I
97,
can't remember
98
what she was on. She might have had her own show, Rosie.
Well, I mean, she was mainly famous for
The League of Their Own.
around this time, League of Their Own and Flintstones as Betty Rubble.
And she was doing those commercials with Penny Marshall. And,
Yeah.
yeah, and all that stuff.
But
Yeah, other shit.
her
What she
voice
singing
kind of
about?
remind me of Roseanne Barr's only because of the. But then again, Rosie O'Donnell's voice is the same as well. So
That's the
Yeah,
thing. I
I
mean,
was going to say Rosie and Roseanne have similar voices.
and they're quite overweight. Both of them are quite that same
But-
body.
but I-
Yeah,
but I
it
would
was,
say-
well, I guess Rosie and Barr was back then, but Rosie O'Donnell really kind of wasn't. She was just a little portly, but she wasn't really overweight back then.
Well, she was portly. She was a portly lesbian.
But yeah, because I remember the bat shaming when that Exit to Eden movie came out, and everyone was
yeah.
like, why the hell
it-
would I want to see Roseanne? And
If you could track
or
it
not
down,
Roseanne,
Rosie O'Donnell. If you could track it down, Rosie O'Donnell is a great stand-up comedy special from that era. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. I have a VHS recording of it from when I was a kid, and she has a couple of jokes discussing it. She said she went down to Mexico afterwards, after Exit to Eden, because her self-esteem was ruined, and all the men started hitting on her like crazy. And they said, "What?" And she was with a friend of hers who was a model, and she said, "Why are you hitting on me? Why aren't you hitting on her? Bone is for the dog, meat is for the man." So she's yeah, so I'm thinking about moving down there next month. Yeah, but yeah.
was this the same one where she talked about Basic Instinct?
Yes.
Sharon Stone saying
about
that she didn't know about the crotch shot. She's like, they got it.
I had no idea that they were filming me down there. Hair and makeup, the left lip's a little dark. Yeah, no.
Surely she knew the way she did her leg and when she uncrossed her leg. She knew that they were filming that.
I don't. Maybe they knew, but they don't. Maybe she didn't realize. Oh wait, you're going to go.
Flung that leg up.
Panasonic
Straighter than you
I to be honest, I think Sharon Stone at that point really, I think she knew, because if she didn't know that they were going to film, why wasn't she wearing underwear?
Well, some women just don't wear underwear.
She says she normally wears. If you start following it, if you start there's a documentary about Basic Instinct that's quite interesting, and it does cover Sharon Stone's like different things, stuff like this, and says that she always wore interview, but she was told not to. She decided not to wear underwear that day. She said, "I decided not to wear underwear that."
She knew she was going to do that because that made the scene, and that became iconic scene.
The thing is, if you look at Sharon Stone, first of all, when the movie came out, she was quite happy talking about that scene, and she said about the female empowerment, so on and so forth. Then when there was a backlash, then that's when her story changed, that I didn't know they were filming me.
Was there a backlash for that?
There was a slight backlash.
There was a backlash. Yeah, it's mainly the backlash. It's not in a traditional sense, but more in you're the punchline in every stand-up show, in every late night talk show. You're the punchline in every stand-up special. You're everybody making jokes about
Even Scary Movie made fun of it with the big leg.
Oh yeah.
It became the most memeable moment in every parody movie. Fatal
Cassie
Instinct.
Ireland in National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
Yeah, they did that.
Where you have all the guys like tilting their heads, and she's crossing and uncrossing. Like, by the way, I'm going to be watching this at some point soon.
Don't do that to yourself.
Basic Instinct 2.
Basic Instincts 2. Yeah, no, it's a.
You have to do it. You got to say you did it. That's all I'm going to say. You got to say.
That's what I am.
And if you're gonna go down that hellhole, you might as well take Donnie Darko 2 as well.
Donnie Darko 2?
Yeah. About the sister. It's about the sister.
Was it Donnie Darko 2?
Yeah. I think it's something Darko. It's like S Darko, M Darko, F Darko, something like that.
I had no idea that even existed.
But with the Sharon Stone thing as well, the thing is, She was fine until the DVD video release, and then people started freeze framing. So
That's the thing. It was between that
that's when she
and
changed her
Mr.
story.
Skin. You know, the advent of Mr. Skin and stuff like that. You started hearing people like her, people like Alyssa Milano. Alyssa Milano has the best, in my opinion, the best reasoning for it. Be like, look, I did these movies thinking that if you wanted to see these movies, if you were going to do it, you would have to buy the tape or you'd have to rent the tape, and that would be the only way to be out there. I didn't know that the internet would be freeze framing my titties forever.
I don't think
And I
anybody
completely
thought
get
the
it.
internet. I
When-
don't think anybody anticipated the internet
Yeah.
40 years ago.
Now, I saw Mulholland Drive in theaters when it came out, and it's 23 years ago at this point.
Right.
Yes.
So I don't remember specifically the scene, but I know that the first DVD release, because this is in the age where the internet was already, it's 2001.
Yeah.
David
Right.
Lynch specifically cut out a close-up of Naomi Watts masturbating because it was in the theatrical cut. I don't
What
know if
movie
it was
was
ever
that?
put in Mulholland Drive. He cut out a clip because there was a scene, and I don't remember it, but
I don't
apparently
either.
there was a scene in the theatrical release where you could see Naomi Watts, and
I
So
think
all-
it's mentioned in the "This Film Is Not Yet Rated" documentary. I want to say they talk
Yeah,
about it.
See?
I don't know if it's ever been restored in anything else because I don't think I've
No,
ever
it
seen
hasn't.
Well,
He said out of respect to her, he wasn't.
I
going
don't
to.
recall that scene though.
Well, so if you didn't see it at the movie theaters, you're not going to see it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I didn't
It's-
see it at the movie theaters.
And another thing is you have to remember that DVD kind of is a bit problematic in the simple fact that when you freeze frame a tape, you get a flicker. When you freeze frame a DVD, you get a clear picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
And
you
if
freeze
you,
frame a
and you get the
4K,
Blu-ray, you get even a clearer picture.
Yeah.
yeah,
Very
that's-
clear.
I recently, we always talk about Jaws. I recently watched the Blu-ray of Jean Rollins' Zombie Lake, and there's the scene where the underwater Nazi zombies attack a group of women's basketball players that stop to skinny dip in the lake. And okay, thank you, Blu-ray. This film is now X-rated. So yeah,
the world has become everyone's gynecologist now. Yay, thanks to the Blu-ray.
Jaws
Somebody's
is
got
definitely the case.
What I liked about this episode as well is I like Pack Rat.
Crack me
that
up.
was-
He wasn't even taking stuff that was worth anything. It was just like crap in his bag.
Dumping out the good stuff, keeping the bag. Dumping out the ring, keeping the box. Oh God, I love it.
I also kind of wonder, like, how did this exactly work as far as like turning into villains? Because is this how their is this how these people's subconscious works? So is this gonna emphasizing what these people are like really
If
behind?
I was
It
a
never
super,
went
if I
into
was a
that.
super villain, I would be the condiment king. Or this seems like shit that would come out of the Joker's head. Like I'm gonna bestow this.
So random.
Maybe that's it. Maybe the Joker bestowed it on him.
Yeah,
Or,
and
did
Lady
they,
Mom.
but the thing is, because you never find out how the chip works. Or maybe this is what this person's like in real life, like the Pack Rat. Maybe he's a hoarder. And maybe the condiment king is this kind of person that has to put like ketchup on everything. It doesn't matter. Waffles, ketchup, chicken and gravy, ketchup. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what he is.
Oh, God. It's just so absurd. Everything about this episode was absurd in terms of like the characters that were created and how they're all because he lost a laugh off competition.
But you know what's funny about this is because when we finish Batman, we're going to go into the Harley Quinn series.
Yes.
And I think this episode has a lot to thank Harley Quinn for. I mean, Harley Quinn's got a lot because we get Kite Man coming in. And then we also get Joker's hatred for the Riddler because everyone thinks the Riddler's funnier than Joker.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering if this episode, because the people who did this do Harley Quinn, is Paul Dini again, just a bit more ruder, a more ruder version. But it's kind of like when I was watching this, and I actually been rewatching Harley Quinn just to get a feel about how we're going to do this. But I realized like this episode had a lot to do with kind of what Harley Quinn turns into.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. There's the kind of just out there humor with all of it. Yeah, I absolutely can see that.
Yeah. And it's the Kite Man thing and the whole thing about Joker needs to be the funniest person, needs to be the funniest villain. That kind of plays over and over later on. So, but
Yep.
Our next episode is Deep Freeze. Mr. Freeze is sprung from Arkham Asylum by the aging billionaire Grant Walker, who is looking to freeze the world and acquire Mr. Freeze's own physique. Batman and Robin infiltrate the billionaire's underwater city and combat both high-tech robots and Mr. Freeze himself, who has no option but to do Walker's bidding and cover the Earth in a new ice age. So, Sean, what's your thoughts of Deep Freeze?
Deep Freeze, it might be kind of weird with all the other ones because they were more absurd. And usually Batman doesn't do serious content as well as they do the absurd. I think this is my favorite one, and it's mainly because of the gravitas brought to it by Dan O'Hurley.
Yeah.
He is playing Walt Disney. For lack of a better word, he's playing Walt Disney.
Connell Cochran as Walt Disney.
He's playing Connell Cochran as Walt Disney because he's a genocidal Walt Disney who wants to eradicate Gotham, put him into a new ice age, while cryogenically freezing himself in a cryogenically frozen Mr. Freeze suit, so that he can create the perfect society, almost in the same way Walt wanted to do his City of Tomorrow with Epcot initially. And
yeah, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, no, it's for me, it's the like I said, the gravitas of Dan O'Hurley. That is what made this episode, because it's just something about his voice, and there's an earnestness to his evil doings that you're just like, God, this guy is fucking nuts. And I just can't, it's amazing.
Just think about before you just described this episode, you said that this one wasn't absurd.
No, I mean, compared to Condiment King and this, I'm like, okay, this is more of instead of an individual insanity with the Joker, that's more absurd in that sense. This is absurd in that this is world domination, world changing power. Like, no, I'm that level of madman. But
greatest prank of all, the prank on the children.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what the whole time in back of my head, that monologue is playing in my mind. And the whole people, I mean, he's the old man from RoboCop. He's Connell Cochran from Halloween 3. He's what was his character in Twin Peaks? He was there when the bank blew up.
He was I think he was Catherine Martell's brother or something?
That sounds right.
Yeah, I just finished that too, and
I'm fuzzy on season. I'm always fuzziest.
He gets blown up in the bank at the end of season 2.
At the very end, well, a lot of them supposedly supposed to have lived.
I have a really good story about Dan O'Hurley. When I had my literary agency, I represented his wife.
No kidding.
O'Hurley.
Oh.
What did his wife do?
She's a writer. She writes books. So I was her agent. He was dead by that time. He died, of course. So, but I dealt with her.
In the mid 90s, I think.
She was crazy, but yeah.
Most writers are.
Who we're talking about? Who I think we're talking about?
Yeah, Pamela O'Hurley. That's her. Her husband is the OCP. OCP boss in RoboCop. That's
he's the old man in RoboCop and RoboCop.
Yeah,
2.
he's the villain in Halloween 3.
It took me a second. It took me a minute.
Yeah.
He's the villain in Halloween 3.
But I think another reason this is kind of a bizarre thing, because we have the pathos of Mr. Freeze, and Mr. Freeze storyline, because of the animated series, is totally different than I think any other way that he's been portrayed. We don't have this in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Freeze.
Well, they did. Schumacher admitted that he took the idea of Nora being cryogenically frozen. This is the first appearance of that iteration of her being a cryogenically still alive and being preserved by cryogenic.
Became Mr. Freeze such a tragic figure. He doesn't seem like
that's the thing.
And then they make him. Well, then he goes, "I want to be like you," and he goes, "What the hell is your deal?" And he doesn't understand.
Well, one of the saddest things I see in this episode is that when the robot comes and takes him, and then his snow globe breaks.
Yeah. You remember when he made it and he put the thing on?
I always feel so bad for Mr. Freeze. I just don't.
He just wants to be with Nora. He just wants
his wife back.
The problem with the Joel Schumacher Arnold Schwarzenegger is that instead of going for someone who is big like Arnold Schwarzenegger, they probably should look for someone who had more of a emotional depth as an actor to play the part, because it would have probably played better.
I would have said, I've been thinking
Jr. maybe.
No, honestly, I was thinking about it around that time. Actors that you had a little bit of gravitas that could possibly pull off the look. I was thinking maybe Stanley Tucci.
Yeah.
Stanley Tucci as a Mr. Freeze. Just say something like that, and maybe
You're right. Arnold was kind of a
He's too
big,
big.
bulky man for the movie.
Well, but the thing is, Arnold Schwarzenegger can't act. Even if he's crying and even if he loses a family member in a movie and he's talking about losing a family member, you kind of want to laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, but Arnold Schwarzenegger he's good at what he does. Just you're not going to get a lot of emotional depth.
I mean, his most iconic role is that of an emotionless cyborg. So I mean, like, what does that tell you?
Basically,
he has gotten a lot better, and he has done a lot better roles in since I won't say since the heart surgery. A lot of the stuff pre heart surgery was not. It was when he was just like constantly just pumping iron and doing the quips. Now
it's hard to feel a lot when you're steroid. When you're steroid.
Oh, that's
it got roided out bad back in the 70s and 80s. It was everybody was doing that. Well, everybody was wrestling was doing it. I mean, look at Hulk Hogan. He didn't get that way naturally.
And when you're on steroids, there's only two things: is like feeling nothing and feeling anger. That's all you can feel.
The thing is about Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's the issue when you have him doing anything except like a commando or a cyborg or something like that, is he can't be the everyman. Like, just because of his build. Like, even recently
They tried.
Yeah, True Lies he tries.
They tried. They tried in the mid 90s when he was doing comedies.
In True Lies, he can't be a spy. Junior. He can't be a spy because he stands out like a
Jingle all the way.
Yeah,
Jingle
Joe,
all
you're
the way,
right on
Junior.
that.
No, I'm with you on that. Jingle all the way, Junior, things like that. I mean, he's always going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in
Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop, at least he's a cop.
Yeah.
So, like, but when you're trying to make him an undercover spy, that's not an undercover spy. That's not a guy who's going to fit into the background.
It's supposed to not be believable anyway, though.
Yeah, that's a parody.
You can kind of get away with that.
I mean, the thing is, what he should have. I mean, the one thing that he didn't do that he should have done was probably Universal Soldier.
Oh my God! Yeah, yes.
Stuff like that. He's built for it. It's again nothing against the guy, but I'm like, when
it was perfect for Predator.
Jingle all the way. When you try to make Arnold Schwarzenegger he's
the workaholic father
the
that just wants to deliver.
guy. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I don't.
Wait, that guy works 15 hours a day? No, because he wouldn't look like that.
Yeah, but I think even if you look at it, there are some actors. There are some actors out there who will never have the emotional depth. Jean-Claude Van Damme doesn't have an emotional depth, and he's not a big guy.
I disagree. There are two projects that he has done where he has shown actual emotional range, and they're both kind of like that movie JCVD. It's where he plays like a fictionalized version of himself. I highly recommend it.
That is such a weird movie. I've seen that like a long time ago. That was weird.
Really good.
I didn't understand it because he was playing John.
And they did also a series on Amazon where he's playing, also called like JCVD or Jean-Claude something, where he plays Jean-Claude Van Damme, the actor, who actually in real life is a spy. And he's been doing the acting to do his spy work. And he's just kind of like this aloof.
Why don't they just put these guys on The Boys? What are we fucking around
both
for?
Of which, that's the thing. I'm like, both of which these things, I'm like, it's showing, holy shit, he can poke fun at himself and he can actually take himself seriously. Because
you know what I didn't know.
If you actually self-analyze yourself when you are Jean-Claude Van Damme, your drug problems, your failed marriages, all that stuff.
At least he didn't move to Russia and expatriate from the country like Steven Seagal. What the fuck, man? He was at friggin' Putin's fucking shindig.
I'm
just like, what the fuck? When did that happen?
I'm not shocked about it.
He expatriated a long time ago. I thought he was
apparently
there was a lot of assault.
There was something about sex trafficking or something like that.
Oh, he was involved in that too?
He was involved in like sex trafficking or something like that, and he was about to be convicted, so he fled, and he's no longer an American citizen. He's renounced
Did not know that. What good riddance then, motherfucker. If that's what was going on.
I just watched Under Siege 2 not that long ago.
I love his movies.
We just watched Executive Decision yesterday.
Yeah, I get to see him get killed on screen. It's great.
Now the reporter kept asking him, was like, why are you here? This was 2 nights ago, 3 nights. I guess Putin won his election. Well, we know why he was elected. But Steven Seagal was there to congratulate Putin. And I heard tell that he had expatriated, but they kept asking him, it's like, why are you here? And he goes, that's a stupid fucking question. That's all he kept saying. But I didn't know about the sex trafficking. So now I got it.
He doesn't want to talk bad about Putin because he doesn't want to be caught standing near a window.
Oh, no shit. Well, now I've got a rabbit hole to go down this weekend. I didn't
there was this guy on Twitter that I follow. He was
doing, and he was a sheriff doing it, I bet.
Yeah. This guy on Twitter I follow who's going down the rabbit hole of all the Steven Seagal films. So I started watching. And once you get to On Deadly Ground, it's this I refer to it as self-wankery of ego, and it's in terms of what he does with this movie, because that's his environmental film. He
did one.
Oh, he directed it. He wrote it. The greatest quote that I've heard about this movie is, "I just read the greatest script ever written by man." Oh, that's great, Steven. Who wrote it? I did.
That was Rob Schneider that said it.
Rob Schneider. If you have 2.5 minutes and you feel the urge to go down the rabbit hole, Rob Schneider on Howard Stern telling Steven Seagal stories. Rob Schneider collects Steven Seagal stories.
I heard about that.
He got one from him and he got one from Keenan Ivory Wayans. The Keenan Ivory Wayans one is my favorite because it's about the Dalai Lama or about the Dalai Lama making him a deity. And I'll just go do it real fast. Basically, he's just like, I met the Dalai Lama and all of his infinite wisdom. He's decided to make me a deity. So he's basically a god. He's been made a god, and he's just talking about all the things that he's learned, all the holy thing. And then his assistant comes in and says, "Hey, Steven, your ex-wife called. She's not going to be able to bring the children by this weekend. It's going to be a little bit late. You tell that fucking cunt if she doesn't get the kids over here, I'll fucking wring your neck." And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. So yeah,
his Saturday Night Live episode is
the clips. They're starting to float around more.
He couldn't be the butt of the joke.
He didn't understand.
God.
But yeah,
I did not know these things though. I was just like this week's old when I found out.
Send Vicky some links.
Oh God, yeah, no.
I didn't know he was a child fucking trafficker on top of.
No, I don't know if it was child trafficking. I think
it was I thought it was sex assault. These are all alleged crimes. So I'm trying to get sued. But yeah.
Out here in the Southwest,
he was deputized in like Arizona or something.
Yeah, he had his reality show. I remember.
New Mexico, but he was an actual sheriff.
No,
he was officially deputized. Yeah.
So
I don't know if it was child trafficking. I think it was.
It was assault.
I never thought he must have been. He must have did it for him to leave and expatriate to Russia. That's all. Like whatever it is, he was worried enough about a conviction to leave.
Let's just cover our bases and say allegedly.
That's why I said denied sex assault and rape that were made by 2 women at a press conference. That's the first thing that comes up. Sorry for.
I didn't know he was like that. I knew he was a douchebag, but I didn't know he was that kind of a douchebag.
Right.
the fun stories about him having a huge ego. Those are fun. But
those are fun. But it's so disappointing to find out.
Unless you want to go into dark territory.
Well, it's just disappointing to find out people that.
Dark territory, like Under Siege 2, Dark Territory.
I love
that. Cute, man, Joe. Let's see what you did there.
I loved Under Siege. I love both. Okay.
I still can't believe it. Wasn't he with Kelly LeBrock?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
He was only with him in that one movie.
Hard to Kill. Hard to Kill.
That was the only movie they were in together, I think.
No, I think he dated her.
He dated her. They got together in that movie. Yeah.
She got rid of him because he was abusive. She couldn't tolerate his bullshit. So.
Wow, can anyone tolerate his bullshit? Anytime
I don't know. I didn't know. I just found out that he was a fervor. So I'm disappointed yet again. I am not going to have expectations for any fucking actor in Hollywood ever again.
I remember seeing, God, this is like in the 80s, and I just remember someone was saying that they're talking about Steven Seagal, and they go, the thing about Steven Seagal is that he loves God, he loves the soul, he loves Earth, he loves nature, but most of all, Steven just loves Steven.
in watching Executive Decision yesterday, because that was the first, because that also a great Steven Seagal story is John Leguizamo has a couple of how he was assaulted by him during the making of the movie. But
He was assaulted by him.
yeah, no, it's Seagal. Well, they were on the same strike force team that took down the plane, and apparently when they were manning up with each other, Leguizamo, an improv guy, likes to joke around a lot. Steven didn't find him funny and shoved him up against the wall in such a way that it knocked him out.
Ass beaten.
Yeah, so he talks about it and just how Steven Seagal's a dick. But the funny thing is, that was the first movie, spoiler for 25 plus 30-year-old movie, whatever.
40.
40-year-old movie. Nah, it's in the mid-90s. Steven Seagal dies in this movie early. I want to say it's like a 2.5 hour long movie. Executive Decision.
Does he die that early in it?
40 minutes in. We clocked it yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not like right in the beginning.
It's a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. So I'd say it's a lot closer to the beginning than the end. Yeah, it's how the end of the first act. So
I remember that.
They're a strike force team. He is a moody fuck this entire movie who seems like he's delivering his lines out of spite because he's not the lead guy. It's weird, like watching his performance acting with Kurt Russell. Like there's a snideness and a condescension, and yeah, they made it in a way like, yeah, you're a CIA guy, you may have set my team and given us bunk information, but there's like I'm going to give you the bare minimum of Steven Seagal. What does that tell you? The bare minimum of Seagal, and nothing more.
Is a difference between the bare minimum and all?
Yes. When he sing, or he actually does, he stands up because he doesn't stand up anymore. And he does more than just the slapping. Because usually he just does like the wrist slapping, and that's supposed to do that.
He does do a lot of that.
It's all the slapping because it's all wrist, it's all self-defense and blocking and defense.
It's the sitting down thing. I watched like last year or a year or two ago. I watched Sniper Special Ops.
Yeah,
he is sitting the entire movie. Like I don't remember.
What happened? Did he get ill or
no? He's just
lazy now.
He's a dick.
He had a shake now,
he's like a dick.
Yeah, he's reached that Brando stage of his career minus the ground.
Oh, well, why did you just say it? He went Brando. Now I understand. Okay,
I joked my
difference is I don't think he can afford an island.
I joked in my review of it that Rory Calhoun was to standing and walking, Steven Seagal is now to sitting and man spreading.
And Rory Calhoun sure knew how to stand and walk, man.
I hope Steven Seagal doesn't ever listen to this.
I'm not planning on going to Russia. I don't think I'm going to run into him anytime soon.
I don't plan on going to Russia anytime.
You can tell how horrible he is because he hasn't been asked to do an Expendables movie.
That's the other thing. In that last Expendables movie,
that's true.
God. Well, he didn't want to do it.
Videos of Steven Seagal fighting. It's him doing the bare motion and somebody flipping around him.
Yeah. He's reached that stage. Those YouTube videos with the martial arts expert where everyone comes up to him and he just does like a light touch and they all like do a flip, and that's what he's turned into.
It's like watching an Andre the Giant match in 1989 where like he'll just slap somebody and the guy will go and Mr. Perfect will go flipping like 10 feet in the air from just
Andre's back is completely shot. He can barely walk. He's using Bobby Heenan as basically a human crutch. Just to get to the ring, and everybody's just
that's the level he's at now. Yeah,
oh, that's pathetic. Then
Steven Seagal, it's one of those guys where he had his time.
I didn't know he was like that. I didn't know. I really, honestly, I knew he was kind of a shit, but I didn't know how much of a shit he was. That's disappointing.
That being said, Under Siege and Under Siege 2, both really fun action movies, and I highly recommend them. Even with knowing all that we know now, they still hold up. I still like their movies. I
try so hard to like. If I can't stand somebody, I still like their movies.
Well, sometimes with hindsight, you can still enjoy a movie, but you look at it differently. Like I look at Undeadly Ground completely differently now because I look at it as nothing more than an ego trip, whereas originally I just looked at it as kind of a bad movie.
Yeah. But there's a difference between that where it was like an actor being a fucking idiot and being full of himself versus say watching Clown House where you know that Victor Salva raped a kid.
Right.
There's like two levels.
I still watch Clown House though. I still like it.
What, Fun House or Clown? What about Fun House?
But I mean, there's
Clown House, yeah. That's
But I
still
mean,
watch it.
what I mean by that is
I
the
know
movie itself. The movie itself, there
you
may not
would
be
like
anything.
it, Keith.
The movie itself, there may not be anything actually
I'm
wrong with
kidding.
it. But knowing the stories, knowing that Steven Seagal's just being full of himself idiot, versus knowing an
Picture
actual
Saul,
rape
though.
took place.
Well,
on
no,
set.
there's obviously, there's levels to it, but it is one of those things where I can still,
Right.
I mean, I can get enjoyment out of it now, though, knowing something a little bit more. I get what you're saying.
I mean, there's also like, when we're talking about movies, I'm not going to watch a movie because so and so is in it and so did this horrible thing, so I'm not going to support them. There's plenty of people in that movie that had nothing to do with the horrible thing that happened.
Oh God, yeah.
So
I've enjoyed Bryan Singer's At Pupil.
I watched that Pupil like last year. It's a damn good movie.
I mean, even though there's a lot of questionable things going on behind the scenes, but hey, it's still a good film.
Yeah, probably a lot of questionable things happening. There's, you hear the stories, but I'm like, if we, so I remember a couple of years ago, somebody made a big deal about a Playboy interview that John Wayne did in 1971, where he is openly racist. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do about it now, 50 years after he's dead?
Oh yeah, canceled John Wayne. I'm like, dude, life canceled him. Shut the fuck up. What are you gonna do?
Dead for 50 years. What do you want? What
exactly.
do you want?
Let it go, guys. It's a different time. I need that Whoopi Goldberg Looney Tunes logo just to be like in my pocket at all time on a business card, just handed out to people that I see getting more and more uptight. Just like, look, not everything is going to fit your little bubble. Sometimes things happened.
And I'm saying this, because literally yesterday, somebody alerted me to someone that I work with, and somebody that he's associated with, and I'm like, dude, I can't. If the person didn't commit a crime, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? I can't. I may not agree with James Woods' politics, but James Woods has been in some of my favorite movies ever. And he's in one of my favorite movies ever with Robert De Niro, whose politics align with mine. So should I now boycott that movie because James Woods is in it? But then I'm also inadvertently boycotting Robert De Niro, whose views I align with. So the whole idea of I'm not going to watch this movie because this person believes this.
Watch anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I'm just putting it this way. If I have a good bank manager, I don't care what their politics are, and I don't care if they're racist or not. If they're making me good money,
as long as they're taking
now if they're leading a hate group or
it's different.
burning crosses on people's lawns and stuff like that, that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah, that is a completely different thing. I'm like, dude, I don't.
People have a right to believe and think what they want to. I think, as long as they're not using violence to get their point across, that's fine. They can discuss whatever they want. I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, you don't have to listen to what they're saying. I don't know if people are going, John Wayne's made me a racist.
Wayne made me a racist.
Because John Wayne's a racist, I'm going to be a racist. I don't think people work that way.
No,
there's a punk rock song on Grand Theft Auto, the Grand Theft Auto 5 called "John Wayne Was a Nazi." I mean, like, it's one of those things. It's just John Wayne was a Nazi.
You couldn't say shit back then like that because they would blacklist you for being a comedy back then. No, I mean, God, they took that seriously.
No.
But even Bryan Singer movies per se, I mean, the thing is, we're not even supposed to be mentioning Usual Suspects anymore because of Bryan Singer
and Kevin Spacey.
But the thing is, at the end of the day, is like, I really love Unusual Suspects.
I do too.
Bryan Singer is a bit questionable with children. God, I think I want to be questionable with children because I love Unusual Suspects. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
All I know is that the last freaking what movie was it with that the scarecrow thing comes alive every 27 years or whatever.
Oh, Jeepers Creepers.
That last one sucked because the guy was a pervert, was not around to make it. So
Well, I joked with people. I'm like, it's the trade-off with they've made the deal with the devil in this franchise because, quite frankly, when the convicted sex pest is working on them, the movies are good, but no one wants to watch them because they're associated with the convicted sex pest.
I don't care. He made a better movie.
But I think I mean
I feel like a lot of people don't like this
paid his
is
dues.
dead. And,
Yeah, he did.
You know,
I know that's the thing. He paid his dues, but that's the thing. I think it's just well.
but this is also one of those things. And I know Sean's, you know, with the AEW wrestling thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this stuff, if you ask the general movie fan about Victor Salva, they have no idea this stuff went on.
No idea.
This is like those of us who deep dive into something because recently with AEW wrestling, Sean and I were talking about the whole thing with CM Punk choking out Jack Perry, and you know,
Luke
it's
Perry's
one of those
kid.
things. Yeah, Luke Perry's kid.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about it outside of the small bubble that
I wouldn't
follows
have known
this.
about any of that other stuff had I not been doing this podcast. I would have not generally sought out that information. So I would have gone around and watched my horror flick, just happy. I still would go watch this.
The world keeps on spinning.
Harvey Weinstein's getting out of prison, it looks like, but I'll still watch his fucking movies. He's a douchebag, but I'll help.
You're gonna stop watching Harvey Weinstein movies. You're gonna have to stop watching Quentin Tarantino films.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
That's gonna ruin a lot of
I mean,
movies.
you know,
screwing up.
Charlie Chaplin married a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
I thought she was younger than that. What's she?
I thought she was younger,
Shitty,
too.
yes. Am I going? You know, but are we going to? You know, D.W. Griffith was a fucking racist.
Yeah.
Horrible
Presley
person.
was dating a 13-year-old.
Who was?
Elvis Presley.
Yep. Elvis Presley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Elvis Presley did not touch her, though. He did not. He saved
Oh,
her.
yeah.
Seinfeld dated a 17-year-old high school student.
Seinfeld went to the girl's parents and got their permission to date a 17-year-old when he was in his late 30s.
Jerry Lee Lewis married his
Cousin, yeah.
cousin.
12-year-old cousin.
12-year-old cousin. So I was
Like it's one of those things where, like, you know what? If you want to, you have the right. If you want to stop watching or stop listening.
You do.
Anything that's problematic. But what I'm saying is, if you decide that you're not going to watch any movie that has anybody problematic working on it at any level, you're going to find yourself not being able to
watching
watch
anything.
a lot. You know?
Yeah.
to fling back to Batman, Victor Salva is like Harley Quinn. Murder time, and no one can forgive them.
No one's gonna forgive him.
I didn't even know about Victor Salvo actually until like
The problem is whenever these movies come up, the headlines resurface.
Yeah.
And so when it's the same thing with Bryan Singer and Days of Future Past.
You know what? I'm fine with the headlines resurfacing.
Well, yeah.
Whatever. Because you should be able to make an informed opinion. You might not ever see the headlines.
Well, here,
I think if you want to say that you're never going to watch a Roman Polanski movie, a Victor Salva movie, a Charlie Chaplin movie, a James Woods movie, whatever,
Harvey Weinstein,
a Harvey Weinstein movie, you should have the right to say, I'm not going to do that. All I'm saying is, if you go down that slippery slope, you're going to find yourself without a lot of options.
No,
because the world's an imperfect place, and movies take a lot of people to make them.
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody on that set, on that movie
that if you serve your time and you pay your debt to society, however that may be, I do think that, come on. Okay, as long
as Harvey Weinstein doesn't come out with his walker again. And he was going in him and Bill Cosby with the walker. I'm sorry. That was my undoing.
But what I'm saying is that once you serve your debt and you've done what you're supposed to, does that mean that whatever you've done wrong, does that mean that you have to pay for it for the rest of your life?
I don't think you have to pay for it for the rest of your life, but I think society has kind of said you don't get to be in entertainment positions or positions of power.
Well, if it's a child,
and I think and that's
sexual molestation.
I personally think I'm like people should deserve second chances, but at the same time, I feel like everybody is kind of just like, well, you did
Child
this.
molester, that's gonna follow you to the day you die.
But I'm gonna put it this way, okay? I mean, I'm not saying that he's a fantastic director or whatever like that, but I'm saying he paid. I'm just saying, like, look at him as an individual.
He pays, dude.
He paid his debts to society. Yeah. He went to jail so far, and then he made a comeback with Jeepers Creepers.
This is literally.
Now I'm gonna put it this way: these same dickheads will go and see a Roman Polanski film who basically ran away from what he did. And they're still passing money for him, and everyone knows what he does. And he's still molesting children in France, apparently, because he lives next door to a Catholic school, a girls' school, and he has a lot of these girls coming visit him in their breaks. So allegedly, things might be going on, but at the same time, we're still giving him awards and everything like that. And he's someone who ran away from being prosecuted. So how can we live in society that basically we just kind of have double meanings that we can, like, this is bad. He makes horror films, so this is bad. He makes Academy Award films, so we're going to overlook this. And that's what it seems to be more about, this kind of thing.
Basically.
And honestly, as far as the Kevin Spacey thing is concerned,
they didn't prove that, though, did they?
Well, the sad thing about that when it went to court in England, the guys came forward and said they lied.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't prove that.
And the one person who sit there and said that basically that something went on is the boy's mother, and the boy was 22 years old when it happened. Hey, so and his career's ended because what everyone did is everyone jumped on the bandwagon before it went to court. And what they should have done is waited till it went to court, find out what happened, and then judge. But we judge. We're judging before it even goes to jury now.
That's because no one trusts anybody in Hollywood.
And this is the point of the first episode we watched today.
Yeah,
precisely. And on that note, what's our favorite episode of this block?
Harley Quinn, hands down. I love that one. It was great. Good, clean fun.
It's weird.
I second that one. Harley's Holidays, fantastic.
And what about
a good social message.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Harley's Holiday is probably the best one. I'm going to give honorable mentions though to every single one because these were all very strong episodes.
They're all very good.
I forgot to mention and make them laugh. One of my all-time favorite stand-up comedians is actually the host. Of the competition, the late great Richard Jeni. Had one of the funniest HBO specials I can remember when I was a kid. A Good Catholic Boy and Big Steaming Pile of Me. Two of the funniest specials. If you could track them down, they might be on YouTube, might be on HBO Max or whatever it is called now. If you could track them down, definitely look them up.
Check it out, yeah.
But yeah, Harley's Holiday, I mean, it's the perfect solo Harley episode. We got to really see her develop on her own and show kind of where we can go with that character. I loved her with her pet hyenas. I mean, everything about it was
rabid pet hyenas.
Rabid pet hyenas. But it was just a lot of fun. So Harley's Holiday for me.
I'm gonna go with Deep Freeze because I got the pathos of Freeze, but at the same time I kind of got the James Bond villain, and I do got the nod to Disneyland. So yeah, for me, I got all favorite things situation. Well, this brings us to the end of the Literature License podcast. Next week, we'll be doing Dark Families. We'll be covering two Dark Family films. Will be Walt Disney's The Black Cauldron from 1985 and the film The Spiderwick Chronicles from 2008. Anthology will be continuing with our two last Amicus films, which will be The Vault of Horror from 1973 and From Beyond the Grave from 1974. And Doctor Who will be continuing with God knows what. And of course, we'll be coming back to make remake for as will be a 5th week month. And we'll be covering The Incredible Journey from 1963 and the remake Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey from 1993.
Which I didn't know was a remake.
Yes. So there we
Homeward
go.
Bound's a remake of The Incredible Journey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought they were two separate movies.
And then our next film for book to screen will be Something Wicked This Way Comes. And the film from 1983. And of course, Batman the Animated Series will be continuing with Batgirl Returns, Home Comfort, Sins of the Father, and Double Talk. So it's good night for myself. And good night, Joe.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Sean.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Vix.
Good night, everybody.
And I'll see you next week for Dark Families, The Black Cauldron, and The Spiderwick.
Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh. Don't you know everyone wants to laugh? My dad said, be an actor, my son, but be a comical one. They'll be standing in lines for those old honky-tonk monkey shines. Or you could study Shakespeare and be quite elite, and you could charm the critics and have nothing to eat. Just slip on a banana peel, the world's at your feet. Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh. Make 'em laugh. Don't you know everyone wants to laugh? My grandpa said go out and tell 'em a joke, but give it plenty of hope. Make 'em roar, make 'em scream. Take a fall, but a wall split a seam. You start off by pretending you're a dancer with grace. You wiggle till they're giggling all over the place, and then you get a great big custard pie in the face. Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh. Make 'em laugh. Don't you all the... My dad... They'll be standing in lines for those Make 'em laugh.